Welcome, everyone. This is episode 3 of the official League of Kyle's Rivals podcast. Huge crowd today.
We gotta have
What
the
a great,
lead.
what a great audience.
Introducing people, or are we just gonna say huge crowd? All right, guys.
What a great audience. So
Yeah,
I'm your host, League Champion Mike, and joined by Alex, joined by Lucho, and special guests. We got the dog, Joey, and the man who took over for DJ. We got Dennis,
AKA your mom's favorite fantasy player.
AKA Deej's best friend.
Yeah, we're real close. Real close.
So we got a big show. A lot of people, more teams to break down.
We have
Maybe
the
a
big
trade
show?
rumor. Oh no, we don't.
What are we? Are we combining these shows with your old?
Oh man,
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for having us on the Going 5-Hole podcast.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
This
guys.
is
rest in
third.
peace.
This is third and long. The revival. Have you not seen the logo in the corner?
This is actually the Going Football podcast. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Wait, this isn't Rangers' fifth line. This,
Oh, man.
any other
These-
iteration of the same podcast?
Does anybody?
Please
does anybody
cease and
else have
desist.
any failed
Please cease and
podcast
desist.
ideas we want to mention?
Yeah, but unlike you guys, we got sued by a professional. Almost got sued
That's a
by a
fact.
professional hockey team.
Threatened to be sued.
That's a big
Were you-
facts.
And
You
Mike,
guys
Mike
ever-
Cain sent them memes. It's like the patient bear, was it that one?
I'll see you in court.
It was like 2000, before like memes even took off. Mike just sent
It was
them
like
patient bear.
2013. Yeah,
Good
Yeah,
thing
it was great.
I'm a
because
law.
it was like a
expert
Twitter DM,
in
and they were
bird
taking
law.
all day.
Yeah, they
Bird
were
law,
taking
which is
all
for
day.
birds.
yes, pro bono. Anyway,
Anyway,
You
Mike,
guys may have been
Mike,
threatened.
this is already going way off the tracks.
Yeah.
You got to keep
That's off the
us
rails.
in
All right.
online.
So I need to address a little maybe controversy, but I think we have a new number one fan on our hands.
drama
Fuck Alex
alert.
Hochberg.
Oh,
We had one person last week that watched the entire episode before the edits were done. So this was
How?
uploaded to YouTube, and then one person, our supposed number one fan, Alex Hochberg, wasn't the one that watched it. So therefore, the one that did, Joey Doyen, naming you our new number one fan.
Hey,
I mean,
editor in
how-
chief, how did the uncut version get uploaded to YouTube?
I uploaded the wrong copy at first. I named them both episode 2. That was a mistake.
Well, this is a crapshoot. This one looks good.
I really was. I was clicking on it. I was like, boy, I hope this was the right one. I'm not going to take the
wasn't.
2 seconds to go back and check.
Oh boy.
So yeah, new number one fan. Fuck Alex Hochberg. You're
Thanks
not the
for-
number one fan.
Thanks for
anymore.
being here.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Joey, how come you sound like you're actually on a cell phone line right now?
Sounds like
Probably
robot
these,
crabs.
these headphones.
I mean, it sounds like I'm dialing in on AM radio to listen to you.
She's gonna hang up and listen.
First time, long time.
Yeah.
We got Ira in Staten Island here with us.
Hey, Mike, thanks for having me on the show.
Oh god.
Man, well, you
All
know, those groceries, they really will tell the whole story. So I was out getting some groceries.
That's only a joke that 3 of the 5 people here understand. Oh man.
I bought groceries before.
In
Every-
Ohio,
we-
though?
Driving through Cleveland, and we turned on the local sports talk radio, and then the guy, I forgot who it was, but just kept talking about him growing grocery shopping, and then the other guy clearly was trying to change the subject, and the other guy kept going back to like, yeah, but I was at the store. Jesus Christ.
This man was going to finish his story.
Yeah, it's true.
We wanted Seth to call in and just
Talk about the Knicks.
the Knicks in Cleveland.
Which was not a good idea.
But,
Yeah. All right, well, Mike, go ahead.
so we have stuff to talk about, not as much as the last couple weeks. We haven't had a draft. Very few waiver moves. Now, the 3 normal hosts of this show, the only ones that had waiver claims this week. So therefore we have to jerk each other off for a minute, like we seem to do a lot.
Finally.
That's why I came here.
On the 3 waiver moves.
I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to partake in that because I don't know who the fuck the guys you got picked up are anyway. I only know my guy.
John Hightower. I just picked him up because he was related to Tim Hightower.
That was it. I was like, that name sounds familiar.
R.I.P. Man. I don't know if he's dead or
I
not.
don't know.
But
Tim Hightower. That's dog.
His career's
Speaking of
set.
our number one fan, that's Dog's guy.
Oh,
And then I don't know. I picked up Jeff Thomas, undrafted
Yeah, I
out
don't know
of
who that is.
Miami,
Great school.
because he's on the Pats, and I don't know. Maybe he could do something.
oh,
so,
a Pats
Nah,
undrafted
well-
wide receiver.
$3.
It's a great school, but Dog's over the school. So he said before the call he's over them.
Mm.
stop
No.
saying.
DJ Dallas
DJ
No.
Dallas.
and the rest of the school.
Fair.
Let's see. We didn't have fan mail this week. I can't believe we didn't.
We were
have any
supposed to
fan
have fan mail. It just didn't happen. You know, some people let us
gee,
down.
so-
And
Yeah, I just
You
came
mean
on
our
the
former?
podcast instead of writing it. And
So
as
you mean
DJ.
You mean our former number one fan had nothing to say? Surprise, surprise.
Oh man.
But
well, you know what? Then I'll take control of this, and I'll say there was one thing that I pitched an idea for earlier
Yeah.
today. I was like, or yesterday, whenever I said it, I was like, oh well, what can we talk about on the show? Blah blah. Blah. I was like, maybe we should throw in some strategy. And Mike maybe mentioned it before the show, on the show, whatever. But I wanted to get some of your guys' thoughts on. Maybe this pertains more to the startup draft, but it also matters as you're going. How do you feel about building your team in a way that you have a bunch of studs and no depth, or building with less studs but awesome depth? Do you have a preference either way, or?
I think, I guess I'll start and just I don't know. It's like you're kind of in the middle of the road. I feel like in any redraft league or any startup, I think you can't rely on everyone you draft being a stud, because it never happens, whether it's just general busts or injuries or what have you. But obviously the goal is to have whatever a lineup is with 9 guys. Obviously your goal is to have like every guy on your roster be a stud, but it's impossible. But I don't know. I just think sometimes if you have too much depth, you can overthink your lineup, and you could make the wrong starts, what have you. Whereas if you have a bunch of studs, it's almost like a no-brainer type of situation. You just start your lineup.
Set and forget. Yep.
Exactly. For lack of words, I can't think of. It's tough though when you talk about dynasty and startup, especially a league like ours where the startup was with 28 roster spots. You have to build for depth. You're only going to get so many guys, and you have to hit on some of those late 10, 20th round dudes. Because I would, if you go through the rosters, especially some of the better teams, I think, they had starters where they nailed it in like in the 20s. So I think ultimately, I think it's better to go for depth, because it is better to have a bunch of guys, because then maybe you can't go wrong. Just kind of start whoever and hope for the same number of points, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
That's a fair
Anyone
point. But here's why you're wrong.
Oh. So, first off, you have to have Zach Stacy on your team.
I was gonna mention him before when they were saying that they got sued or threatened to get sued. I was like, did you ever get followed for 2 days by a real NFL running back? Neither did we. But Zach Stacy,
Not a
followed
running
us
back, but I might have been followed by a CFL long
by a
snapper.
fullback.
The
Oh.
podcast did get followed by Zach Boychuk, who also follows literally
Everybody else.
on
Everybody.
Twitter. So that
Name
Means
searches.
nothing.
doesn't necessarily count. He was
Alright.
a low ball NHL player. Nothing crazy.
I'd like to hear why Mike's wrong.
Yeah. Me too.
Well, first
too.
off, Mike was very diplomatic and said that the situation is going to dictate it. That's a pussy move. You got to go all in. No, the situation does dictate it, and I do agree that depth is more important in Dynasty, the way that we're playing in this league, especially with a super flex, because then you have even more fragility at your positions, at your starting positions, and you have to temper that somehow. But it's like you said, you're starting 9 guys. Every week it's a battle. It's not like a whole year-long thing. Obviously, it's the year-long too, but you have to win aim to win every week. So you have to swing for as much upside as you can, in my opinion. Otherwise, you are falling into a value trap where you're looking at a guy like, let's say 2 years ago, you had like Gio on your bench behind like two starters, two studs.
Gio Bernard.
Yeah. And you're looking at him every week and you're like, oh, well, I feel secure having this guy who, if I need to start him, he's going to get me like 10 points.
How can you feel secure when superstar Jeremy Hill is ahead of him all?
Oof. That's all I'm going to say to that is oof. But you're feasibly, when are you going to start a guy like that? Even if you get injuries or something like that, you're going to want to look to guys who might be able to take a starting job and score more than that, and then you can prepare for the future in that way. Versus,
I think somebody off of waivers is probably more valuable than like a Giovanni Bernard.
Exactly.
Just like, you know what I mean? I feel like, I mean, I'm new to this league clearly, but just in playing Dynasty and in other sports like hockey and stuff, there's usually two like schools as well. I'm going to continually just load up on draft picks and prospects and people who may work out. And then you have the people who are like, well, I'm going to win now. I'm going to draft somebody like Tom Brady or, you know, somebody on their way out. And it's people seem to get caught in the cycle of either or, especially the people who are like constantly building for the future and then the future never comes. Like you said, like, would you rather have a Giovanni Bernard? But personally, myself, I'd rather have two people who are studs right up there and then try my luck on the waiver wire if you go down with injuries. That's personally where I'm at with that one. I mean, having depth is fine, but you can't play everybody.
Yeah, I'm with you guys on that. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of building with studs to begin with too. You actually saw how I built my team. I was trading up in the startup, getting the better players, and then I was really, really short on depth going through the year. Maybe it was a disadvantage for the year, but now that I'm 1 year in, I feel so much better with my team. I feel like I replaced the depth with, like you said, Dennis, guys on the waiver wire, with guys, especially in the off season. I feel like there's way more available that you actually like with your team. Like, I feel like I picked up so many guys after our draft ended that I was just okay with on my team, you know? So right. I'm a big fan of going with more studs and trying to figure out the depth later.
Yeah, it just feels like sometimes that people get kind of stuck on the perpetual wheel of like, well, this year is going to be the year I hit, but I want a first round next year. It's like, at what point do you ever want to like win? You know what I mean? Like you can win the draft, but it doesn't necessarily mean you win at the end of the year. And I think that's just true for
I think that's a different problem. I agree that that's another like huge pitfall that you could, like a cognitive dissonance thing that you can kind of fall into, where you're always like, oh, I'm building for 3 years in the future, and then you do that every year.
It turns out Blake Bell isn't anything.
Blake Bell.
I think
Oklahoma Beast Squad.
Yes. I think a perfect example, honestly, is Dog's team and the moves he made on draft day of, all right, well, I have this number 3 pick. Do I take a guy now? Is the guy I take now going to take my team from third from the bottom to a playoff team and potentially win a title? Or can I make the moves I made and stock up? But while still building my team now, I feel like that's where it comes back to the situation dictates. Someone like me, where I have the roster I have and I'm coming off a winning season, I'm not in a position to just trade dudes away just for the sake of trading. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I have my future draft picks going forward. I have the guys who are relatively young, couple guys obviously I could look to move maybe, but someone like me, I feel like for at least like right now, I can just kind of sit back for at least this season and then hope for the best. But that's where, like, for Dynasty, it's situation. I think, like, you can't just assume, all right, well, like, I'll load up on these picks. All your picks could bust. Like,
right. Just because it is a Dynasty league doesn't mean you have to treat your team like a Dynasty. It's like you said, it's all situational.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Exactly. Like, if you the old Dynasty subreddit, if you read that, pretty much the advice there is trade everybody on your team for picks, because
I currently have that up right now. It's hysterical. Just because that was on Reddit anyway. Figured I'd look at it.
Yeah. Also, you mentioned build your team like the way Dogs does and trade the third pick. But when you get a deal like Dog got for the third pick, it's pretty easy to trade that.
I have a bone to pick with everybody who was on this podcast last week, who was me and Dog as well. But you guys didn't talk about the warrant that was out for Joey's arrest for the absolute robbery. That's why his
Well,
so dark,
it could backfire.
Shady motel room right now, hiding from the goddamn police.
Well, I didn't know there was a warrant out for his arrest, officer.
I
Maybe
threw him an offer just because I wanted Tua, and I was like, listen, if I get Tua, I'm cool with that. If not, I'll take the best running back of the draft. And then I threw Joey the offer. Like, what do you want? He hit me with the 4 firsts or whatever. And he's like, well, Skylar's got an offer too. And then he showed me the offer from Skylar, and I'm like, oh no, just no.
That's why, dude. I
was
thought
walking into work. I'm like, no shot.
I'll be like, I'm like, all right, fine. I'll bite. I'll throw whatever bullshit offer and see what happens. And then when you ask for 4 first, I'm like, what is this?
He got it.
It would have had to be an overpay. I was
if you
more
didn't
than willing to take Tua.
I was gonna say if you didn't,
Like, you guys all knew that.
Yeah, that's what I assumed. Like the way I always thought with you drafting Joey, it was like, okay, maybe you don't need Tua. You have a bunch of quarterbacks, even though there's like 4 of them on your team that are all like could become great or could just phase out after 2 years. I still like. Okay, I was saying you don't need Tua, but it didn't make sense to let him keep falling.
Yeah.
You know.
And I was a big fan of Tua. He was my number 1 if he wasn't injured. I like him better than
I
Burrow.
still liked him number
talent.
1. I liked him over Joe Burrow, even with the injury and even with Joe Burrow's awesome season. I still think Tua will end up being better.
Plus, not being in Cincinnati is also like a big.
That's a nice plus. I mean, it's Miami,
Check.
but
It's Miami, but
I like where they're. I like where that direction that team's going. I like the coach.
not an Adam Gase Miami team.
that's true. Yeah, I like Flores.
No
and the
offense,
staff
dog.
he has too.
But, I don't know. Anyone else? Are there any trade? Oh, I'll say one trade rumor if we know, since we're just kind of move on from our studs versus
Half our league is in this podcast. How do we not have trade rumors? That means there's no trades going on. Someone
there were rumors today that the real life Josh Rosen market was heating up. It turns out our dynasty Josh Rosen market is heating up as well. As I got an offer for Josh Rosen, I guess I'll decline the trade on the air because I mean, listen, it was Darwin Thompson for Josh Rosen. Look, Josh Rosen's probably never gonna play a snap in the NFL, but I gotta hold him in case he does.
Chosen Rosen.
I drafted him whatever bullshit round, and I'm just not letting go at this point. I'm still holding out hope that some team gives him a chance because he hasn't had a fair shake, to be honest.
I think he could be a decent prospect. I think that's the smart move.
He hasn't had a fair shot. Yeah, he got murdered. He got murdered that first Arizona year, and then he just
zero offensive line there.
And
he goes to Miami. He clearly was not part of the plan there.
And
right,
he's 2 months younger than Joe Burrow.
Right, exactly. So I can't just trade him.
Joe Burrow is.
Yeah, Rosen's a hold for me. Even if he never plays a snap and I have to just cut him in a year or two, fine. I'd rather do that than potentially trade away a superstar.
See, that goes back to what I was saying before. Is you're holding him for the upside as opposed to having like a mid-range quarterback or a backup.
But I think that's a super flex league thing because I'm not entirely.
Absolutely.
If this is one QB, first of all,
he's in trash in one QB.
Exactly. How many quarterbacks that are rostered are on waiver? Like, come on,
I'm the trash man.
It's only
I eat the garbage.
But
new nickname for Josh Rosen confirmed. The trash.
The trash man. There we go. First nickname of the podcast.
Poor Chosen Rosen.
Not to change the subject, but I have the website up for the first time of the league just so I have my roster in front of me. And it's a massive picture of Nick and Sarah at the top, and I can't stop looking at it. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to derail that, but that was...
No, it's worth it. I mean, it's
Sarah.
By the way,
it's Sarah.
Also, I actually did get fan mail. I didn't realize because it didn't come in the normal fan mail avenue. of
Here's your
the
mail
email
with
to me.
Fanway.
But this is constructive fan mail. It's not even. I wouldn't even actually call it fan mail. I'd call it more league mail.
Okay.
So we talked about
there-
on an episode. I don't remember if it was the last episode or the first episode. We talked on an episode though the potential of the supplemental draft, right? Whereas if there's no college football season, our guys going to start declaring for the supplemental draft, and will that actually mean something this year, as opposed to normally when you could just throw a guy in free agency if there even is a guy in the supplemental draft. But Alex Hochberg did have a comment about that, and I'll read it to you right now.
Former number one fan.
He was contested at the time anyway by Phil, so I mean at least there's no contested issue here. But all right, he says regarding the possibility of a supplemental draft, in my opinion, we should approach it as a new randomized snake order. As far as teams who stocked up on 2021 draft picks, there's a certain amount of risk you agree to when you make a trade for a future draft pick. Even if you believe 2021 is a strong or weak draft class, it's possible all those players die on a Carnival cruise or something like that. You should not have to. That's a little harsh. But
I'm more of a Royal Caribbean guy, but keep going. Yeah.
You should not have to protect the idea someone is targeting a single player in 2021 this early because there are way too many factors that could change the value up until the time of the draft. So, I thought it to myself, and it's like, that's actually a good point. So
you knew like coronavirus didn't happen yesterday, so like you did like it's and like this isn't my thoughts. It's just piggybacking off of Alex. I do kind of agree. It's not like if you're trading for the future, right? Like you don't know. Like this is clearly unprecedented, but we knew a month ago when a lot of these trades were being made that what if the college season's canceled? What if guys like wait another like and who knows? Like all the Trevor Lawrence talk. What if he stays for his senior year?
Yeah.
And now you trade and he goes back like that. That's just shit that happens.
What happened this year? There were guys like Chuba Hubbard and guys like Travis Etienne and Najee Harris, which just came out of this draft class. And all of a sudden, as soon as that happened, everyone's like, "Well, 2020 sucks now." And then a couple weeks later, everyone realized 2020 was still fucking.
I do think you're gonna see. I do think you're gonna see a lot of people if there is no season. Stay as opposed to the supplemental draft
think.
Because why not just go get your degree of whatever
the guys
or whatever.
It's more the guys that went back to school this year that might be supplemental.
Correct. Yeah, but even that still, I still think they would wait only because of pro days, combines. It affects contracts.
The contract question is that's the biggest one in my mind.
You look at it now too. It's like okay, the guys that went back to school, like I said, Chuba Hubbard, Travis Etienne, Najee Harris, all running backs. If they decide to go in the supplemental draft now, there's no running back spots in like the whole league. So what are they going to do? They're going to join the supplemental draft just to be a backup on a team?
Right.
No, you wait. You might. Yeah, I mean,
you might as well wait. So, but that's a good point. I like it, and I could see. I think it's by he says randomized snake order. I still think I would do weighted based on the last standings. So obviously Kyle's team would have the best odds, but we would do some kind of lottery, to get that draft.
But what if
just a draw?
What if? Well, first of all, I mean, how many NFL teams? Because we all know the supplemental draft rules. If you take a guy in the second round of the supplemental, you're giving up your next second. How many? And teams are like scared to do that anyway. So and how many? I think what's the cutoff? There'd have to be a significant amount of players to go in that would even warrant us having a draft.
That's true.
I think even if it was like
draft.
2 or 3, I'd still say hold them off until next year's draft because at that
you mean
point,
just not even have them in the player pool at all?
Yeah, I don't know.
It
depends though because I know the other day I saw that Ohio State's letting players back on campus and stuff. I think you're going to see something, but you're going to see some form of season, I guess, as the resident college football expert here, I guess, in a weird way. But yeah, I don't know. I think you're going to start seeing, especially because all the schools down south and stuff like that.
I was going to say, there's no way in hell an SEC season is not happening. It'll happen.
Alabama will catch on fire, which, if it happened, I'm all for that. I'm just saying, we don't need them. Should have let them secede, let them go. Lincoln fucked up on that one. But no, anyway, even schools like Ohio State, it's mostly like the Northeast, and even to be honest, there's not as many schools up here. It's the same thing with the NFL. It's it's the all or none.
It's that, and then with the University of California system, just saying they're not going
Yeah.
They're going to do
Right.
virtual involved in
Yeah.
the Pac-12, but not even all the Pac-12, just part of it.
Yeah, but who
like,
also says they don't go to like a neutral site or something like that?
Yeah,
Or, like
yeah.
you know what I mean. I
The-
think you're gonna have
yeah.
a season. It's gonna be a little pushback though.
If you have enough conferences or enough teams within a conference that are pushing for it, yeah, the NCAA is going to find a way to finagle it.
Yeah,
A lot of
just-
people that I've seen have been saying like they're not concerned that it's going to start, but they're concerned that it's not going to finish because of the idea of another wave coming.
Mm-hmm.
And they think that it's good timing near the end of the season for them to truncate it.
Agreed. I
I
just
think
think
it's the case with any sport
it's-
though.
Yeah,
at this point.
yeah.
But I also feel like it's one of those where even if everybody starts the season, that pretty much eliminates any, for our league's sake. It
eliminates the supplemental draft.
It
which would-
eliminates the supplemental draft.
please,
Yeah,
please,
absolutely.
You pretty much, even if they don't finish, you pretty much just even if they play a month and then they go, oh shit, this is bad, we have to cancel. You still eliminate, this last 5 or so minutes we're chatting about it. This all goes away.
Yeah,
And
which is why
everything continues
yeah.
as normal.
that's why I'm saying if people are, I don't know if it's just speculation, but I've seen like actual sports doctors that have been talking about it, and that would
thought
be
you were
a
just
best
ending
case
there.
scenario for us.
I thought you were ending there. I've seen actual sports doctors talk about it.
I've seen actual sports doctors.
My next words were going to be talk about what. there was a.
Talk
You
I
about
think
ended
there's
it
going
like-
to be
I just-
some form of season with college football, especially because I think a lot of the areas where college football is big is going to be places
Yeah.
where it's not densely populated, and the areas are obviously a little less strict than up here in like New York and stuff. But
Yeah, you're gonna have a ton of examples like with the Bundesliga starting and like the Premier League and stuff
Mhm.
coming back. All the leagues here
PGA.
are gonna all the leagues here are gonna follow that. And
Yep.
if,
NASCAR.
and if they work out okay, I feel like if the
League of Legends.
if these because like the
Overwatch League.
like all the soccer leagues is sort of the closest you can get. I mean, it's obviously not
Yep.
tackle football, but it's the closest you're going to get to the type of contact that football is.
And
Are you
the size
calling-
and revenue
Are you calling the NBA a non-contact league?
Well,
Oh,
I
no.
mean,
bunch of old heads up in here.
Oh, if LeBron James played 20 years ago.
Tough scene.
Actually,
Good
oh my
time.
God, it's
Good time.
2020.
But
What
if
am I
they do
talking
okay.
about?
What did you say?
20 years ago.
Yeah, 20
Bro.
years ago. What am I talking about? It's
The
2020.
dead
Oh my
years?
God.
How old are we?
Oh.
Michael Jordan on the Wizards.
Yeah. Floor Jordan.
I just think personally that you're going to see at some point one of these leagues, whether it be the NBA, NFL, MLB, just say, we got to do it. If it's like good enough, because right now the NHL is having trouble coming back because of Trudeau doesn't want the going across the border. So that's like the big issue there. But I think
Yeah, I'm
you're going to see
surprised he hasn't said it's essential work yet.
if any ruthless league, which is the NCAA, is going to do it, I think it's going to be the football season because they're going to need some money coming in. And
Yeah.
I really think they're just going to say, all right, these are what the doctors say. Let's be as careful as we can. Let's do it. I do think it's going to happen. I think it might be closer to the fall.
NCAA already doesn't care about the athletes, so who cares if they're at risk?
yeah, they're gonna get they'll get chronic symptoms from coronavirus and go up. It's not our responsibility. You're a student athlete.
Yep.
You
You're
can
an
bring us
amateur.
in millions of dollars, and you can get sick with coronavirus. Yeah, well, here's your degree.
Yeah,
I
sorry.
hope it's a good trade there.
Yeah, you're all student athlete.
What's
Oh,
that? You were
God.
trying to profit off your image to pay for your health care?
I had to do both, so I had to pay and I had to play. So that was nobody was slipping me 20s under the thing. That was fantastic.
What?
Yeah, so happens when you play on a 3-22 friggin' lacrosse team. Anyway, oh sorry, I have to be the resident booker. Well, as you see, the NCAA is not playing because there's a virus. Back to you.
Thanks for that, Booger. Guys,
Alright,
Joe
somebody's-
Tess. Booger took Joe Tess down with him, and I'm upset. All I can get from Joe Tess now is holy moly.
All right,
On
somebody
Thursdays
needs
at
to
9
segue.
p.m. on ABC.
Quick
He's
plug.
gonna be doing Total Wipeout soon.
Oh my God, I
David,
would love
how
put
about
Joe
back
Tess and
to the
Tony
old-
Romo on Wipeout.
How about back in the old days with Joe Buck and David Tyree makes the catch, and
Oh
you
my
can
God.
catch a new episode of Family Guy.
Dude, there's a picture going around. There's a picture going around of a like a "We've Got Your Back" COVID-19 banner, and it's advertising where you can get tested, brought to you by Pepsi. And everybody that I like commented on the picture was like, "Wow, this is Joe Buck made this."
Oh man, Joe Buck called that Super Bowl like it was the second inning of a preseason baseball game. Like it was insane. Arguably the greatest catch of all time.
He's trying to haggle a price on a massage.
No. All right, what else are we going to talk about? We keep
We're
going.
gonna talk about your
Anybody-
teams.
Yeah, does anyone else
Yeah.
have any little tidbits before we get into
I think we
breaking
move
down
right
these
into the
rosters?
No.
Then listen, fuck it,
Thanks,
let's do
dog.
it, man.
See, dog, very straightforward. Just straight no and no.
Well, I have
Oh.
one point. No one brought up my mustache yet, and I'm still.
Oh no, I did. That's why I said thank you, officer, for letting us know there's a warrant.
I didn't catch that. I don't know how I'm doing this podcast under the influence of a mustache. It makes no sense. I was gonna write a fake fan mail. Because I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna tell you right now. I was gonna tell Lucha how come he doesn't have a mustache. What kind of Italian is he? And I didn't do it.
I'm one of the creepy Italians, like the uncle that you barely see, because look at how skinny this thing is.
Luch, not only with how skinny it is, but with the lighting you have, you're really got a good Andrew Luck beard going right.
It's
right now.
rough. It's so
the
it's
Geico
like
the Geico
the
caveman
shadow.
beard.
Yeah.
Rest in peace,
Oh.
Andrew.
I miss you.
He's on my team.
Yeah, but is he on your team?
Yeah, dude. He's a member.
Yeah,
All right.
He plays for Peytonville.
He's gonna be
All
the
right.
next fucking
Let's
host
move
of
in. Let's
Ugly
move.
Radio
We're
Show.
gonna talk with
All right.
the third.
Let's start. Yeah, we're going to start breaking down these rosters. We're going to start with this roster here.
Oh, Anthony.
I just looked up and I was not ready for it. He looks like Mike Wazowski.
I thought it was Roz.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's it. Always watching Wazowski.
So we're going to start with Team Anthony is a Weenie, which is of course owned by Dog, which
And a
aka
factual
Joey
statement.
Doyen.
And a factual statement.
So Joey Doyen finished last season in 10th place overall, missing the playoffs. A ton of moves in the offseason. He's got a ton
What?
of picks in the future after ripping off another team, Skylar. For
No,
that number
ripping
three.
off doesn't do it justice. To call it what it is.
Okay, fine. It was there's been a rape up there.
Oh no, he said it.
Oops. All right, so yeah, we'll start with your quarterbacks, Dog. So your quarterbacks are Sam Darnold, Dwayne Haskins, Cole McDonald, Gardner
That'll
Minshew,
Yeah.
Jarrett Stidham, and Russell Wilson, and formerly Andrew Luck. So how do you feel about your quarterbacks? You've got potentially 5 starting quarterbacks on your roster. You got to feel pretty decent about that.
Are you saying Cole McDonald is not a potential starting quarterback?
No, he's not.
Oh, okay.
Who is Cole McDonald? I don't know.
He had a farm, didn't you hear Sape earlier?
I walked right
Thank
into
you
that
for
one.
saying that.
Hawaii, dude. Hawaii.
Walked- Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that. all right,
Did he actually?
He's
Oh
got the
god.
hair. He's got a big arm.
Not as good as Colt Brennan.
Like
though, that's
big
a fact.
as in like massive, or big as in he can throw far.
He's like not a wimp. He's
Big.
I guess
They-
both.
He doesn't belong at Weenie Hut Jr.
No, he's the guy from the Anchor
No, he's
Arms
a jerk.
commercial. Yeah.
All right. So, all right. Dogs quarterbacks, 5 potential starters. So, more or less, unless Brian Hoyer beats out Jared Stidham, it's 5 starting quarterbacks. I guess, Dog, how do you feel about your quarterbacks? And then we'll hear what everyone else thinks about it.
I like to let you guys talk about this, and then I'll jump in after.
That's a power
That's
move.
okay.
Yeah. Let's change where the meeting's gonna happen.
I'll tell you what a power move is the trade that Joey pulled off with Skyler. Now that is a power move.
Well, if you want, Luch, go ahead. You can jump right in.
Yeah.
I'll just stay out of this and crack open another beer. It's all right. No, don't worry about me over here.
Are you done?
Oh yeah, I've been done.
Okay.
Sorry, I forgot a little bit of the old beer.
I was gonna say Sam Darnold has been 22 for the last like 4 years, so that's a good start. Russell Wilson is Russell Wilson. He'll start to decline at some point, maybe.
He's underrated though.
I had no idea Russell Wilson's already 31. By the way,
Mm-hmm.
it seemed like he's been in the league since 2012. It seems like he's only been in the league 5 years. Honestly,
That's what dating Sierra does to you. I don't know. I really like I think Gardner Minshew and Jarrett Stidham are both like under the radar. I mean, I don't know what Jarrett Stidham is yet, but I really like Gardner Minshew. I think he's a
Well,
good
we all know what
quarterback.
Jarrett Stidham is based on this page, minus 1.64 points last year.
That's true. That's true.
Jamal Adams pick 6.
He had like 4 throws, Stidham, and that was it. Maybe
Yeah.
he's on the Brett
I have no
Favre
idea.
trajectory, where 4 throws with one team, and then they'll trade him.
What about Dwayne Haskins, though? What do you guys think about Dwayne Haskins? Because, as Bruce pointed out, my strategy is to draft every Ohio State player and only Ohio State players.
You took over
so-
took over Deej's team just to change from drafting Oklahoma players to Ohio State players.
This
Even
is
though
the
I have
long
none
game.
on my roster, Bruce. Yeah, that's a guy I thought Dennis would like. It's like, oh, is it because I like Ohio State?
yes, that's exactly why I thought you were going to take J.K. Dobbins at 4 overall.
Yeah, okay.
Wouldn't have been a bad pick.
Nope.
Yeah, I got a little more sense than that. Yeah, I remember stomping on 82.
So okay, look, Dwayne Haskins. How many games did he start last year? I mean, that's a problem. But he threw 1,365 yards, 7 touchdowns, 7 picks. I mean, nothing overly impressive about his rookie season. I mean, he didn't get a ton of games, but
He also got thrown into the fire with Jay Gruden.
Yeah.
Way
flashes.
before he was ready. Yeah.
He had flashes.
He
Plus,
had,
he's
he
also
had that.
got-
He had that one game where he thought he won, took selfies with fans, and didn't come out to take the knees at the end. I mean, I don't think that's that big a deal, but old school
Oh.
NFL guys hate it.
Attitude.
He's not a lunch pail guy. DJ
No.
would never draft him.
He's a diva, dude, just like Victor Cruz.
That's the new
I still
coded
think-
word. Diva.
I still think that Dwayne Haskins, like the jury's still out on him because I mean Terry
Mhm.
McLaurin, another Buckeye who I drafted, is he's like the only weapon. I mean Jordan Reed's constantly hurt. I mean outside
Jordan-
of that,
Is he gone finally?
He's-
Yeah,
Yeah.
he has to be at this point.
Gee, who
Yeah, they
knows?
cut him.
Oh,
And
yeah,
then
they
Ryan
cut
Davis.
I think Joey's in a really good spot with quarterbacks. I really like Sam Darnold. I really like Gardner Minshew. I think Stidham can be good. I mean, and Russell Wilson
Russell Wilson's Russell Wilson. You got to.
is what he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a cornerstone. That's an anchor guy. Everybody else, I think, there's a lot of potential, but it's a lot of it is spec potential, like speculative potential.
Correct.
More so with
I
some
mean-
players than with others.
I'm a big Sam Darnold guy, so
Oh, me
I,
too. I wanted the
yeah.
Giants to take him. Yeah.
I like that. And then I the way I see it, having some kind of combination of Gardner and Stidham as your QB 3 and 4, that's great. And Dwayne Haskins, I personally I don't like him, and I worry about him if someone's relying on him because I really think that Kyle Allen is, despite how Kyle Allen is, I think he's actually going to push him for that job, especially with a new coach. That Kyle
But if he's your
Allen,
number 5 quarterback, I think you're in a
it's not a
bad
big deal at
spot.
that point.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
what it is.
I'm more
if
talking
you
about
were-
just Dwayne Haskins, and not really for Joey's team, just in general,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
having a limited offseason with a new coaching staff, and Kyle Allen already knows the playbook because he was just
Yeah.
with that coach last year.
Yeah.
It would worry me a
Yeah,
little bit.
I mean, yeah. If Dwayne Haskins was like your QB 3, I'd be worried because one injury.
yeah.
And now if you have to throw him
For
in,
sure, yeah.
But yeah, if he's your QB 5, you're in a good spot. Because listen, the upside could be great, and now look, you might have another potential starter as your 5th guy on the depth chart. But yeah, I mean, clearly Russell Wilson's your QB 1, and Sam Darnold is your super flex, at least for week 1.
I mean, until Sam
Gardner-
Darnold becomes the only active NFL player that get coronavirus during the season, because that definitely would
no.
happen to him.
Out indefinitely.
Scurvy. Scurvy.
Yeah.
Scurvy.
And I guess,
Oh no,
and I
the
guess you
Spanish
play.
flu.
I mean, I guess you play matchups with Minshew and Darnold. Honestly, I feel like that's the way to go in terms of your super flex. But
Especially
look,
for-
Darnold.
Sorry, go ahead.
For all the shit with Darnold, I mean, with the mono and then that Pat's nightmare game, 3,024
Ghosts.
yards, 19 touchdowns, and 13 picks. That's not terrible for a guy in his second year coming off, the injuries.
Mike, I like to look down to your notes.
Yeah, dude. Oh, sorry, I did it wrong.
So I mean, Dog, where are you at though with your quarterbacks? I mean, obviously, I'm assuming you're happy with them.
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not really much to say. You guys covered it.
Nice.
All right, sick.
I think
let's move
Minshew's
on
in
to-
the...
I do have one question.
Okay, go ahead.
Because, Dog, I kind of want to get your thoughts on your startup draft a little bit. Because I know you drafted Andrew Luck with your second pick.
Yes.
When you were building with your startup draft, was that your plan to kind of go QB heavy? Or was
Yep.
it just...
Yeah. I was trying to monopolize quarterbacks.
Gotcha.
Hope people realize
then-
how important they were. And then
Yeah, no, I don't blame you.
Yeah,
I'm gonna draft-
I
Just
did.
didn't work.
We
Yeah.
all did. Then I guess didn't overdraft, but I only picked my quarterbacks based on, well, fuck me, if I don't take them now, I'm not getting them.
Yeah.
Well,
I wasn't a part of that draft, so I can't even count.
What?
yeah, no, just Deej was, and he
Deej,
did
yeah.
okay.
He also, luckily for you, his auto draft was Ryan Tannehill.
This
So-
is
Yeah,
true.
well, let's just crap on Deej later. Let's finish with Jones.
All right,
Yeah.
so we'll move on to your running backs. So, I mean, you pretty much have the best running back in the game, and then it looks like it falls off. But anyway, in order.
looks like
I think it's
yes.
a little early to call Anthony McFarland the best running back in the game.
Anthony McFarland, I thought you were going to talk about Antonio Gibson.
Oh,
Well,
see,
more
he's
of
the
a
second.
Darius Geis kind of guy, personally.
So all right,
myself.
so Joey's running backs are Raquel Armstead, Eno Benjamin, Antonio Gibson,
Yes.
Darius Geis, Darnell Henderson, Christian McCaffrey, Anthony McFarland, Jalen Samuels, and Darwin Thompson.
Lots
Before
of
we get into
upside
anything,
shots.
before we get into anything, I'd like Booger's thoughts on Anthony McFarland.
Anthony McFarland. Where did he play again? Maryland. He's any of those Maryland running backs. Like I kind of put him all together. He was the starter. I know that the Giants got the other guy. That offense though is like so.
Where's Booger?
Running gun. Oh, sorry. He's a running back, so he runs. I don't know why I did Dom Mazzetti, but I did. Dom
Yeah,
Mazzetti
jeez.
Instead.
No comment. No comments
like-
about him being your son.
I like Anthony McFarland. I do actually. I think he's a good running back. He's explosive, that's for sure. Not the best out of the backfield catch wise, personally, but they utilized him a bit against Ohio State. But he broke off a couple big ones against Ohio State, if I recall correctly. So,
I'm just the only thing
I
I'll
think
say
he could
with-
take. I think he could take over. I really did not take over, but when people
I
realize
was-
that James Conner is kind of a plug, they'll realize that. I think just the explosiveness in Anthony McFarland alone is probably of good value
Like,
there.
That's pretty much exactly what I was going to say. I have no confidence in the three guys technically ahead of him on the depth chart. That it wouldn't shock me if Anthony McFarland has some form of significant role like halfway through the season.
But what's your I guess strategy of having him? Are you betting on the same thing, Dog? I'm guessing.
Yeah. I'm not a big James Conner guy.
What round did you? Was he a
Yeah.
third? Was he a third round pick for you?
Third, yeah.
That's
Right.
a good pickup. Plus, having Jalen Samuels there too is like in case of an injury is.
I think
also-
Jalen Samuels is what he is.
I think
Yeah.
Jalen Samuels not.
He's changing.
I don't think he's even going to make the team, to be honest.
Nah.
He might not.
They
High
haven't,
possibility.
they haven't talked about him at all. They've talked about
Benny
literally
Snell.
every other running back.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's right.
I think your biggest hit, of course, was probably Darnell Henderson with the Rams drafting Cam Akers.
Daryl Henderson, Darnell.
Yeah.
Darnell.
I'm hoping he
Whatever.
still has somewhat of a
Darnell
role
Dockett.
there.
Well, he was what a second.
He was a
round
third
pick?
round pick, but they
Yeah.
traded up to pick him.
Yeah, last year.
They might go stable. You know what I mean?
They've been
Still,
saying that
'cause
they want to. I mean, it's coach speak. You can't take it seriously, but still.
Coach
What?
Speak. I love Coach Speak. It's my favorite
I take-
app.
I take everything the coach says seriously. He's the coach.
Nah, yeah.
I mean,
That's a
I
good
think-
attitude. Number
I
one
think
wide
Darwin
receiver.
Thompson. I think Darwin Thompson, who before Shady signed with the Chiefs last year, was looking like a nice sleeper pick. But I think now, he's just going to be like your random third round back, or maybe like special teams guy.
People
But
were
I think
hoping,
in our-
I think,
in our-
for development from him during the year, and he just never
Right.
came
And granted, I mean, how much? This is why, like, the guy was a 6th round pick. I mean, they might look good in training camp or preseason, but ultimately, how you can't. A lot of the time, you can't throw a lot of stock into those guys. But again, like even when we did our startup, that was probably a good value pick in startup at the time because he was the only guy on the roster that you knew of besides Damian Williams at the time. So it was. I mean, it was a good pickup last year, but now, but this is what happens with Dynasty. You think guys are going to hit, and then they fall off the face of the earth. But
True.
I mean, I feel like we don't have to talk about Christian McCaffrey. We know what he is like.
Have we seen his best season already?
Yes.
I think yes.
I think you have just based on number and volume. I mean,
91 point something% of offensive plays involved Christian McCaffrey on the field. Like that's insane.
That's
I think
ridiculous.
The next highest guy was like 70 something. I couldn't tell you who it was.
Also,
Probably Barkley.
Without Norv Turner as the OC now, I think that's going to make a difference there. Obviously it's Chris McCaffrey. They're still going to use Chris McCaffrey a shit ton, but Norv Turner was always known for having that one guy.
Yes,
I also just think how good DJ Moore got might affect his, especially in the passing game. But also, listen, if it's Teddy Bridgewater, he might just drop back and go up. Here you go.
He was asked to do that a lot when he was starting for the Saints.
That might. Like
True.
That might just not even if it's not the game plan, it might just be like, oh shit, what do I do, man? Here you go.
What makes Christian McCaffrey effective is just his ability with the screens. I mean, making something out of nothing too. So I mean, that's obviously I know a lot of people at the school are like, oh, it's a running back, do whatever you want, but with him they can do so much more with him than anybody else in the league. He's just insane. I love watching Christian McCaffrey play the game.
I wouldn't say more than anybody else in the league. I think Barkley can do the same things he can do.
He's not as good as out of the backfield as McCaffrey is, as far as catching the ball. I mean, screen pass, yes, but just route running, no.
Just actually running around.
McCaffrey. Yes, just his legs in general.
Yeah, no, not route running, just running around. Saquon, just run over there, man. Oh, you're great at that.
Bro, you're awesome at that. So, I mean, listen, it's a good thing to have McCaffrey. It's not
crush a watermelon.
I'll kind of hit with Benjamin. I feel like, again, I know Chase Edmonds is still there, but I just think if Kenyon Drake sucks or goes down, I mean, there's got to be a role for him.
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe a random scat back.
I know 7th round draft pick, but you never know, man.
If you're using a draft pick on a running back nowadays at all, you have at least some sort of plan for him. Not necessarily a big role, but he's some form of plan. I really think so now because the way that any teams use, he might not be a prominent role, but it'll be like, all right, hey, maybe a couple third downs here or there. I don't know anything that much about Benjamin, but I mean, if they're using, even if it's a 7th round pick on him, yeah.
The way that they run that Cliff Kingsbury runs that offense, I think Sape's right. He's just going to run as a scat back, and mainly if they do anything with him, they're going to split him out wide so he can cover empty sets and stuff.
Yeah, because 95% of the stuff that Benjamin does, Chase Edmonds already does better.
Chase Edmonds runs between the tackles better.
The only difference is, Benjamin might have better hands than Chase Edmonds, but it's not even like Chase Edmonds has bad hands, So I just don't see him supplanting Edmonds on anything.
Which is too bad because I liked him coming in, but he got no draft capital, so.
He also had a god-awful season last year. He was a lot of people have had him as their top 5 running back at the end of the previous 2018 season. But.
Yeah.
But, I mean, listen, he's there. I mean, I definitely think he's not even your best rookie running back. I think Antonio Gibson has a higher upside.
I love Antonio Gibson.
And he's listed as a running back, but he's kind of going to do everything on the Redskins.
An H-back or a H-back.
Well, with no Chris Thompson there, man, that's
his new role.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Anybody's fair game, though.
Healthier.
That Washington offense, they will throw anything at the wall and see at this point if it's going to hit. So I mean, that's not a bad pickup at that point.
And listen, fantasy wise, if you're a Chris Thompson, that's not the worst spot to be in.
Yeah.
So I mean, listen, especially for our league, PPR, there's value there for sure.
Can I interest you in a rookie version of Roy Halou? Perhaps. Think about it.
What about the book?
Roy Halou or Roy Halou Jr.? I don't know which one you're talking about.
Roy Halou, the insurance salesman.
Oh, just like Cliff
Fall.
Real person Cliff
Fuck.
Fall.
Oh god, this joke is
Right, dog?
sponsored by
He's
State
a real
Farm.
guy.
Yeah,
Cliff Fall. He's my insurance salesman.
guy's an idiot.
And then,
So this-
and then it brings us to
Cliff Fall or
I
Nick?
suppose.
Nick.
I suppose this brings us to your running back 2, Darius Geis. What all the injuries, all the bad luck. What do we think with Darius Geis?
This is his last shot.
I'm surprised
year
he's lasted
3.
long, to be honest.
He's in year 3. He's under a new regime. They drafted another running back. They're going to give him one more shot because he was that good of a prospect.
Yep, he still has all the opportunity.
Yeah.
So. And he still, in my opinion, has all the talent. Just
I
Doesn't
believe in
have
him,
the
but
legs.
who knows if he's still got it after shredding his knee twice.
Yeah, but who knows if he has the legs? Because that's
He got hurt because he got hurt early in the year, and then he got hurt again. Like, I mean, it's 2 years of shit luck, man.
Yeah, I think he's gonna get a chance because, like you said, you invest something into him. And like I said to you before, like with Washington, they'll throw shit against the wall and basically see if it'll land at this point.
Where'd Doug
This
go?
is true.
He said
Yeah.
he said Nick called, I believe. That's what he said.
oh my god.
Bro, Fortnite, bro.
Oh Jesus Christ! It messed everything up.
Dog.
He'll be back.
All right, we're better now.
Back.
Oh God.
Oh,
Luce, looks like you got some editing to do.
No, I can I
There
can switch
he
it on the
is.
fly now.
There he is.
Thank God.
Yo, did he ask you to play Fortnite?
Mhm.
Bro, we need a fourth. Come on.
Geis played at LSU, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Highly touted, great prospect. Shredded his knee in his first year in the league. Had lingering hamstring problems, which usually comes with the recovery of that injury in his second year.
Is it?
You may know him as the chef,
I don't.
Dalvin Cook.
Oh yeah, it's true. Dalvin Cook's a different running back though than Darius, guys.
Well, yeah, they're different people,
different-
Dennis.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Different legs, so to speak.
That's a good point.
I'm
I
just
don't know.
saying that
Dar-
it's a possibility.
Yeah, anything's a possibility. I mean,
All right,
listen,
Jiminy
they might
Cricket.
call.
Yeah, Dennis
might-
becoming an NFL running back possibility as
They
well.
might call me eventually. My tape's out there. They've seen it. They've seen it. I mean, no one's calling. No, I think, like you said, to your point, you're right. That could be literally. But did you say Dalvin Cook was a LSU running back?
No,
Florida
a
State,
highly
terrible
touted
school.
back.
Oh, okay. I thought you said LSU, but yeah, no. I think him being on Washington is still perfect because I don't know if there's many teams that would have him linger around as long like that. I mean, like I said, Washington, man, they need anything like as far as offensive weapons.
Hmm
I just hope he stays healthy. I'd actually like to see him play. I really would.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But the way that the team is working and moving, he's not going to be necessarily afforded the opportunity.
It's true.
So all right. So to wrap up the running backs, ultimately, I feel like the depth. You got some shots in the dark, but the depth is rough. It's Christian McCaffrey, and then
Maybe
Throw-
guys.
maybe guys. I mean,
Gibson turns into something. Maybe
Right, but-
Anthony McFarland. It's a lot of like.
it's a lot of what ifs. But honestly, there's a running back 1, and then that second running back is tough if guys.
Fortunately, Christian McCaffrey is like 2
Yeah.
running backs in 1. So
If you're
Right.
gonna be in that situation, at least you have Christian McCaffrey.
Right.
Yeah.
But the rest of it, again, it's a lot of what ifs, and yeah, the depth is really rough. This might be the worst running back room of the 3 teams we've covered thus far. Maybe Kyle's is a little worse based on what, but at least he has like capable guys. Whereas this, you could argue it's McCaffrey, and then that's it.
nobody.
Yeah, half those people might not even see the field.
Yeah. Dog, your thoughts on your own running backs?
Um, Yeah, I don't think I would trade McCaffrey for all of Kyle or Anthony's running backs, but
Who do you
Yeah,
like the best? out of
besides
the
Just
Yeah,
running
guys
backs
you
with their
got?
whole team. I don't know. If
Yeah,
you-
like who are you? Yeah, who are like out of like this list of guys? Like who are you like really rooting for to like break out and be like a fantasy stud out of all?
probably
those?
DJ Dallas was not on his roster.
obviously Geis.
Yeah.
But besides that, I guess McFarland would be nice.
Okay.
Pittsburgh still has a good offensive line. and
Yeah. Yep.
I think
I
that's the
think
best
he
situation.
could catch
yeah.
the competition in front of him.
Yeah.
Because like, and especially like if Geis gets hurt again, you're gonna like it's gonna be like, yeah, man, it's just it's rough. That's why I said like I think this is so far the worst set of running backs we've covered.
All right, Mike. He's already dead. Let's.
I'm just gonna put
All
the
right.
GIF. Get a GIF. The beating
The
the
stop-
dead horse.
stop
GIF.
is already
All right, so the wide. All right, let's cover
Wideouts.
Go to your wide receivers. This list is like sneaky good. So you have Paris Campbell, Corey Davis.
This list is
Devin
a white wide
Duvernay.
receiver. It's sneaky good.
Sneaky athletic.
Kenny Galladay, KJ Hamler,
Forgot Devin
KJ
Duvernay.
Hill.
Big play Duvernay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And then Oblazi Johnson, Christian Kirk.
Olabisi, get it right.
Blasi- Bill de Blasio
I'm-
Johnson.
Nickname number 2 of the podcast.
I can't pronounce these things. I'm white. Come on,
I
man.
already forgot nickname number 1, to be honest.
Yeah, me too. I was just gonna say who
Is
else?
the
was
trash
it?
Trash man.
Oh, yeah.
We could have just watched it back and remembered, but we're like, yeah, we'll forget it. We'll write it
That's
down.
true. Let's see, where was it? Christian Kirk, Terry McLaurin, Denzel Mims, Auden Tate, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and Preston Williams.
Now the question I have to ask is: Denzel Mims the same guy who did the "This Is Why I'm Hot" song?
I already called him Denzel
like an
Mimsy.
8-year-old.
Denzel Mimsy. That's really funny. I like that.
Isn't Mimsy like a children's book?
You know what's interesting about these wide receivers?
What?
Mhm.
Is I thought
Hmm.
Preston Williams was on my team. Right.
Turns
Tom?
out. Turns out.
Turns out he's not.
Oh
So,
damn!
I mean, look, like I say, sneaky good, but because I mean, we all know Galladay, we all kind of know McLaurin, but I feel like Christian Kirk came on last year, and I feel like he kind of became wide receiver number 1 in
Yeah.
Arizona. Well,
Yeah.
he was.
Then
not
all
now.
came crashing down.
But the upside is still there though for him. I mean, someone's got to get targets. If anything, Hopkins getting traded to Arizona kills like Larry Fitzgerald's like farewell tour like targets.
Yeah,
Fitz plays in the slot.
Nice hands, Larry.
Yep.
But I mean, if we're looking for 3 starting wide receivers, I mean, it's got to be Galladay, Kirk, and McLaurin at this point. I mean,
Could be Denzel Mims in the future too, because I
Could
mean
be.
he's going to be
right.
Could be
Right on.
Preston Williams.
true.
Could be.
Who's on
Preston
Alex's
Williams
team.
was hot as fuck before he tore his ACL.
Yes, Lucho, I know he's good looking, but we don't need to bring it up in the podcast.
Yo, he's a handsome guy.
It didn't
Just-
change how he looked at his face at all, but when he tore
Listen,
his ACL, he
listen.
showed weakness, and that's like the opposite of my fetish.
Listen, I'm the Booger McFarlane guy. Man, that KJ Hill, oh, handsome. Anyway, back to you guys.
I like AJ Hill a lot, just based on like we've discussed previously when we talked about the waiver pickups last week that I liked KJ Hill as a waiver pickup because of just he has a shot to be wide receiver 3 in LA. So I mean, I like
And
the
target
potential
number
there.
5, which is why I didn't like him.
Right? But like
Not personally. KJ
for
Hill
a
personally,
waiver,
probably a great guy. But
for an undrafted waiver pickup in our league, like whatever, it's worth a
Yeah.
shot. At least you didn't pay 20. You didn't pay $20 for a 3rd string quarterback.
Oh, looks like Joey did the Dennis draft method where he took Paris Campbell, Terry McLaurin, and KJ Hill. So
Yeah, to go with my Dwayne Haskins.
that's true. Do you guys like Valdez Scantling? Like, I
No.
expected way
No.
I expected way more out of him.
Yeah,
and,
not
just
anymore.
got absolutely took him in another league. I was like, well, that was
He was
not
purely driven by
was like-
volume and opportunity.
Yes, he was like
Yeah.
here, and then people started talking about it and stuff started happening. He got to here, and then he got like right to there where it really went not much, and then went crashing down.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like 2018 was the hype, was like the top hype. But even then, he only had 38 catches, 581 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and it dropped off last year. 26 receptions, 452 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Mike,
So
we should get you a teleprompter so that you're looking right at the
I know.
camera as you're doing.
I
it.
know instead of looking down, but I mean, so like the production already fell off with him, so it's only.
What
gonna
about
improve.
Paris Campbell? Do you guys like Paris Campbell?
Yes.
Yeah,
I do too. Actually,
I like him
a
more
lot.
than
Not just
MVS.
because he's a Buckeye. Yeah,
Oh,
I think he's like a athletic freak even for the NFL.
I also think being in a new offense, well, not a new offense, same offense,
Yeah.
but being in offense now with Philip Rivers will make a big difference.
he's
Yeah,
perfect
And
for the slot
I mean,
there.
he obviously he was hurt the majority of the season, so I mean,
Yeah,
a rookie coming in being hurt the majority of the season, you can't expect much. But perfect for that Keenan Allen role, man. And
yeah,
people,
just
people
18
confident in
catches.
Keenan Allen coming in too. So
Yeah, just 18 catches last year, but like you said, I mean, he was hurt a lot. But listen, it's a second-year guy; he's going to get his chances. And listen, again,
not everyone
Phillip-
says that
Phillip-
about everybody. I mean,
but Philip Rivers is a clear upgrade
Jake
from
Arcega
Jacoby
Whiteside,
Brissett.
apparently he's already been thrown to the wolves.
who? Are you talking about a dead man? Dead to me.
we miss you, RIP.
But well, I mean, who's the biggest? I mean, who's the biggest upside out of this whole group?
Denzel Mims, I think, is definitely up there. Because
Well,
just because of
Mims
the,
is already in the opportunity that he can immediately
Yeah.
take a wide
Yeah.
receiver one spot if he wants. If he shows some sort of production immediately, you know.
I think
I mean-
you have Mims, Campbell,
Preston Williams.
Kirk
I'm a
and
big
Williams,
Preston Williams
yeah.
fan, man. I'm a big Preston
Williams' second year learning with a new quarterback, already knowing the offense from last year.
Terry McLaurin can even go up too. I mean, Terry McLaurin is.
Oh,
Yeah,
I did
Once
not
Kyle
expect
Allen
that
takes
from him.
over as QB, then Terry McLaurin will do better. You're right.
Okay,
Per
I'll
your
call
comps
Civic, make it
to
happen.
Keenan Allen, he has on Player Profiler, he is comped to one Santana Moss,
Wait, who?
Paris Campbell,
Oh, that makes sense.
because he has a 100th percentile speed score.
I see that, but
He's
I think
faster
Paris
than
Campbell
God.
is a better route runner than Santana Moss ever was.
I agree
Santana-
with that too.
Santana Moss just was like, go straight, see what happens. And it's like, yeah, okay.
Great school.
I mean, he ran that route perfectly though. So.
Why are we slandering Santana Moss on this podcast?
What about Sonoris Moss? I haven't brought him up yet.
I don't know.
Great
How about
school.
Zach Stacy? Let's talk about him a little bit. Maybe we can get Zach Stacy on the show one of these times.
Yeah, I'll fucking DM right now.
Get him on Cameo.
Yeah, you
Or
could
when
probably
I
get his
tried, I
cameo for
wish.
like 23 cents.
He's not. Unfortunately, he's not on Cameo. But you know who is? Brett Favre.
Oh, good
It's a lot
lord.
of-
That's going to be
It's a lot
a
of
lot of accidental pictures of his wrinkly old dick.
It just comes on. Oh, I thought this was something else. Sorry, guys.
Sorry, I slipped through my Wrangler jeans.
It's still not that, Brett. Yeah.
But all right. So overall, what do we? I mean, dog, your wide receiver. Let's let Dog talk about his own wide receiver instead of us.
Oh, there goes
your
Dog.
wide receiver group overall.
What, I'm gone?
No, on my
you're-
screen
you're-
you were for a second. And then you came.
Yeah. I think I'm still need like one more guy. But I'm like in love with Paris Campbell, as you guys mentioned.
I think what your wide receiver room is missing is just that one guy. Like you're missing one of those top,
Like a true number one.
a true number one. You have so many guys that I'd like as like number twos, and a lot of upside guys too, because you got just a young amount of like good group of wide receivers there. So between Paris Campbell, Devin Duvernay, Kenny Galladay, Christian Kirk, Denzel Mims, Preston Williams, all those guys are young. And then there's other guys I haven't even named. They're all young. So like I just could see a year or two down the line, you might have some guys that are that number one. And if I had to pick someone from this group, it'd probably be Denzel Mims has the best chance of doing that.
Yeah.
But if you can get that one guy, like how
Or McLaurin. I think McLaurin can too, because I mean, right now,
as
especially
long that the thing that we're it's not McLaurin
if Kyle Allen
himself.
plays.
It's not McLaurin himself. It's more just who's throwing him the ball. Whereas I'm not as worried about Sam Darnold throwing the ball to Mims. As I would.
Right? Yeah, that makes
I mean, Haskins, Allen, or
Sure.
whoever they draft. You know.
True.
Because what if they're both bad and they're like, oh fuck, we have to. I guess we'll run everything through our running backs, and then not saying McLaurin drops off, but like there's fucking cases of that all the time where
Yeah.
the receivers just suffer. I feel like DeAndre Hopkins is one of the few guys that overcomes poor quarterback play, where a lot of these guys, if they do have bad quarterback
He
play,
didn't overcome Brock Osweiler. I'll tell you that.
No one can.
He fucking tried, man.
Yeah.
He fucking tried.
But overall, I like the wide receivers. I think it's solid. It's one of the better
Yeah,
wide receivers.
no, it's
Overall,
definitely
like depth wise, like because you're looking at like there's like off the bat like 6 potential guys you could probably like start if you had to, just based on the volume that you can anticipate. So yeah, it's definitely solid.
In reference to us talking about the devaluation of tight ends last week, I say we quickly glance over the tight end section.
This is the worst group of tight ends I've ever seen on a team in my life.
But to be fair though, your starter
you have
was
somebody
Delaney
named
Walker.
Bryson on your team.
Delaney
Yeah, so,
Walker
all right. I'll
didn't play.
here,
I know for a fact that Joey was going for the strategy of I don't need a tight end on my team because my potential points will stay down in that case.
That and they all died.
This is
Oh,
so here
yeah.
I'll just listen.
Oh, it was
So-
kind of like a combination of it. They all
That
died,
too.
and then you. Well, that makes sense.
So the tight ends on your roster: Trey Burton,
Who?
former starter, but he still sucks. Yeah, Bryson
I
Hopkins,
didn't even know
Josh
he was on
Oliver.
Indianapolis.
Yeah,
I know.
he's probably
I have
going
no
to
idea.
start alongside Detective Jack Doyle.
Jack Doyle. That's all accent, but either way.
And,
Keep going, Mike.
yeah, so what was it? Trey Burton, Bryson Hopkins, Josh
Bryson.
Oliver, Hale Warren.
Rice.
Like, you have Waring as a dart throw, and Josh Oliver's probably going to be their starting tight end.
Tyler Eifert is there now.
Like
So
I
he will
said,
not.
Josh Oliver's
He will
probably
not
going to be
be
their
the starter. He will not be the starter for about 2 quarters, and
Yeah.
then he'll be starting tight end.
I am not a Tyler Eifert fan.
Me neither.
But really, we're looking at potentially 0 starting tight ends. You're saying maybe 1.
Joey, I got a tight end for you if you want. At some
Yeah,
point.
but he could use all those million draft picks to take one if he'd like to.
I got
next
listen.
year.
You want tight ends? I got tight ends.
Mike has no tight ends besides
Okay.
Kittle.
I have a tight end.
Get out of here. We've already said 4 potential.
I like
I
how-
think
like
you
how
guys
go,
are
"All
remiss.
right, get out of here, and then Lucho leaves.
I think you guys would be remiss if you do not talk about how many draft picks that this motherfucker acquired.
Oh no, it's
Where
a
did he
lot.
get him
I
from,
think-
Dennis?
I don't want to talk about it.
right.
Yeah, I don't
as
have
we
too much to
covered-
say, to be honest.
No, the tight ends. Listen. Yeah.
No.
like
There,
Lucho
there,
said,
there is
dart
nothing to
throws.
say.
Right. Maybe there. Yeah.
From the horse's mouth, or the dog's mouth, I should say.
Yeah. So look, overall, where do we think this roster finishes? And listen, we'll say here, obviously, the potential going forward, all the draft picks, all the moves made on draft day to move back and acquire future assets. Obviously, you have to hit on the draft picks, but the future looks good just based on, especially like we covered with the receivers. There's a ton of depth there. If some of the running backs work out, if those guys work out to any value, then I think it's awesome, considering a lot of those guys were third, 4th round picks, and the quarterbacks are solid. In 2 to 3 years, I think we're looking at a contender if everything goes the way
You could see it as soon as next year. This year I don't see much. No offense again, dog on your team. I don't see too much happening this year. I still think probably a bottom 5 team, but you're right. It looks good going forward, and I could see it as soon as next year. I could even see some surprise hits this year that maybe brings your team closer to one of those fringe playoff teams if some of these like wide receivers like Denzel Mims hit quickly.
Yeah.
I think
it happens every year. It happens every year. Guys we know, like especially all these young guys come on out of nowhere, these late draft picks. So who the hell knows, man?
If I think if he hits on one of those one of those running backs steps up, I think you're looking at a completely
true.
different team.
If Guy
But-
stays healthy, that'll
Yeah,
also change the world.
yeah, like you say, if you hit on another one of those running backs, I think that team is probably looking pretty good this year. But that's obviously a big if. Right?
Yeah, and I think best case scenario, McCaffrey is himself. Darius Geis, I guess, breaks out and doesn't get hurt and shows his potential. And I think in a best case scenario, maybe you finish in like the upper half of like the non-playoff teams. 'Cause
I
think
agree,
overall,
Mike.
I think I just think overall, like I mean, there might not be enough depth that there's an injury, but best case,
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Lucia was saying that Mike said something about get out of here, and then all of a sudden you walk away.
It's like that episode. It's part of SpongeBob where he's like, "Get out of here, you big dumb animal!" He just walks out.
He made me spit some beer.
So,
I had to get one SpongeBob reference in there. Sorry, there might
Lucia,
be more.
we were just saying, what do you see, since we all gave our opinions, what do you see as Dog's team this year? Like, how do you see it finishing?
I think Dog's team has probably one of the widest ranges of outcomes because of how young and how speculative the team is. Especially considering these rookies aren't going to really be getting a lot of camp time.
I think that's always like that's always like the underrated thing that we don't really think about when covering this is all the virtual stuff and just the non-existent training camps that might go down.
Yeah.
I think a lot of rookies are going to be behind going into the rookie season. So I think your usual, like rookie like studs, so to speak, I think we can't be surprised if it's more like veteran heavy and guys that are already on the team versus rookies to an extent. Obviously your top guys are going to, your top rookies are going to play, but
Especially
guys-
running backs.
Yeah,
Right,
RB's
exactly.
RB's
Like
is
if
not going to
guys-
hurt
that's
as much
the
as other
learning
positions.
Yeah.
right.
Um,
I think it kind of just needs to be said every time.
I think there's an eventuality where this team finishes like 7th,
Yep, that's right around what I was thinking too.
like 6th,
That's what
7th.
I think as a best case. The top half of like the just like right there for the playoffs. And listen, you never know, man. Like 7 and 6 could be a playoff spot. You never know.
But I mean, that's just this year. You're working
Right.
on.
No,
You're working
Yeah,
on. This is a
that's-
3-year plan.
You're right. That's just this year, Dog. After this year, you might as well give up, dude.
Who's next on the list?
Why are you
Who's
still
taking
here?
Oh,
this
there's only-
team?
Oh, you meant the next on the list. I thought you were just segueing into who's next on the
Oh,
list.
no.
of who we're covering. I was like, there's only one other team. I don't know what list you're looking at.
Is it me?
Sorry, when I stepped away, I blew a lot of coke.
As a man with a mustache, I'm upset you didn't involve me with that.
All right. So, do we have anything else to talk about on this podcast?
No,
Oh,
let's keep going. Oh, on the podcast? Yeah, dude. I'll see you next week.
All right. Dennis's team, formerly owned by DJ Lupo.
Boo,
So
boo,
so
boo.
so
Hi,
DJ last season finished 9th overall. In the process, never started what was probably his best quarterback on the roster, Dak Prescott. Always just my gripe last year. But
Did he
Dennis-
really? I didn't even know that.
He never
genuinely
He never started him. He always started like Daniel Jones
And Brady.
Mhm.
Yeah, over him, and Dak would consistently put up the most fantasy points. Whatever, regardless of what you think of him as a quarterback, he's a great fantasy quarterback.
No, he was number 3? Right? Number 3?
So anyway,
Crazy.
Dennis took over this season for Deej. So you made some moves. You did trade Dak Prescott. What was that the trade again? Did you get a first for him?
I got next year's first. Somebody would have to look that up because I'm not.
I think it was the
entirely sure.
Phil, right?
It was Phil.
Yes,
Yeah.
It was Phil.
Okay. So
You
I think-
guys would.
I
Someone
think
would have to look that up. I don't.
That
know.
was
take a look.
that was your big move, is you traded Dak. I think
Yeah.
to get some assets, because you figured Deej was a 9th place team, so let's move some guys around. But let's start with your quarterbacks. So let's list them off. And you're not in bad shape. You have Tom Brady, Ryan Finley, who Deej stupidly traded for a 2nd round pick.
turned into J.K. Dobbins, not directly, but it did turn into J.K. Dobbins.
Daniel Jones, Jordan Love, who you took in round 2 this year in our rookie draft, and Ryan Tannehill. So, I mean, just looking at it, Daniel Jones is, I mean, probably your best bet as far as a QB1. I mean, Tom Brady is still there, but I think for me, I think the production dropped a little bit last year. I mean, he's still very good, but in terms of a fantasy quarterback,
But now he has the weapons.
He does. Shit, man, he does, but he does. I guess. For me though, I just think Jones is still you're kind of, it is what it is, because you're probably looking at starting both of them anyway.
Yeah.
I think Brady's a super flex, so it's kind of interchangeable. But I do think Daniel Jones has the higher upside in terms of potential production. Because if Brady's arm just decides to die, I mean, we've seen it with these old quarterbacks all the time. Peyton Manning's last year, I feel like he couldn't throw a ball 20 yards anymore.
The way I see this,
his last year.
The way I see this is, I don't think there's with these QBs, I don't think there's a need for a de facto QB1, because I think you have 3 quarterbacks which you can rotate in and out however you feel like at any time between Daniel Jones, Ryan Tannehill, Tom Brady. So, okay, there might not be a de facto number 1. You could call it Daniel Jones. Some people could call it Tom Brady. Some people will probably call it Ryan Tannehill, honestly. So, I just think having those 3, that's a really, really good 3 quarterbacks.
I know Dennis traded Prescott for that and got that first next year. Would anyone else have traded Dak for that same trade, or would you just held him?
Well, I don't remember the trade. I thought we were looking it up.
Motherfucker, I am trying.
What was the exact?
It was a while ago. I would be surprised. I don't exactly remember. It was a ton of picks. It was a ton of picks, and I know I gave a couple like 4th rounders back, and I wound up trading some of the picks he gave me.
There we go. Okay, I found it.
Yeah.
And I also found it at the same time.
Tom PayPal. Okay, I thought it was last year, so I was going through the 2019 league.
I wasn't here.
Tom PayPal Dongle Moose gave up year 2020 draft pick 205, year 2020 206, year 2020 306, 2021 round 1. And you gave up Dak Prescott 2020 404, 2020 411. And then you used your 206 and 306 to trade up to 201.
Okay. So 206, 306 turned to 201. So it's 205 and 201, basically, which you ended up using the 201.
I basically got 2 more first rounders for him.
Yeah, you traded that 201 again later.
You traded up to
111, yeah.
So you ended up getting Justin Jefferson, and then you kept what, the
205.
You took Jordan Love with the 2.05.
So Jordan Love, Justin Jefferson, a little bit other stuff, and then
and a first for next
year's first
for
Dak, and a little bit of extra.
Which you assume for Phil's team probably like a low mid
bottom half,
middle.
Yeah,
he could be a playoff team. That's
but hey, listen.
So seeing the quarterbacks on the roster, would you have kept Dak around, or do you think, okay, this is a guy with some value, trade it, because there's still good quarterbacks on the roster, but in terms of maybe where the depth was and maybe get future assets, was
in a vacuum. In a vacuum, no, I wouldn't have traded Dak. But with Dennis's team specifically, yeah, I think I would have, because he needed an influx of talent at both the running back and the wide receiver position on his team, and the tight end position. But I mean, that's least because. But
I did let Blake Bell go, and I regret that.
There really wasn't much on this team, especially with wide receivers for me. Like, okay, he had Darius Slayton is something that you could see. He obviously had Tyreek Hill, and he had T.Y. Hilton, who's an aging asset. But other than that, there's really was nothing. So, for that team specifically, and getting a guy like Justin Jefferson in there,
and not just Justin Jefferson, but Taylor too. Yeah. Yeah.
And to put it, like, listen, having Brady, Jones, and Tannehill, there are way worse quarterback rooms in this league than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Especially with Brady moving to Tampa, Tannehill getting the starting job fully now.
It also
swung the right way.
It also depends on your view of Dak. If you're a Dak fan, it might make a difference.
I'm a big Dak fan in fantasy, and even I think that you're right.
Personally, I made the move because I've told people before, you have to trade assets to get assets. I couldn't move that. I couldn't move Ryan Finley for that. You can't have your cake.
What do you mean?
You can't move Ryan Finley for Michael Thomas.
Like, yeah.
But you can move Antonio Brown, who's about to be suspended, and who else did I give up? Trevor Simeon for Michael Thomas.
Oh God! Oh, I thought Finley was part of that trade. That's why I said that.
Finley,
That was just
No,
a
it was
straight
Fin-
up.
it was
Finley
Finley
straight
straight
up
up
for the
for a second.
2.04.
Oh,
Listen, he's a good player, but you know you gotta
Finley?
as no. No, Dak is a great player, man. But as Lucho said, you gotta turn shit into schnitzel. So
yeah.
I think if you, I think if your depth like had I think if Tannehill,
had I not
like,
had Tom Brady, I wouldn't have made that move because Tom Brady's
That's
around
good,
for another year or two, and then you have Daniel Jones and Ryan Tannehill. Like,
Which even if
okay.
Daniel Jones isn't good, like Josh Allen isn't good, and he's good in fantasy because
And
he
he-
runs.
And you picked up Jordan Love, who can be your replacement for that Tom Brady spot.
Yeah,
sure.
Dude, I love Jordan Love. Not to make a pun or alliteration or whatever, but I
he said it.
dude, I think people are calling him the next Pat Mahomes, and I don't like doing player comparisons like that because I just don't think that's fair. But Jordan Love's tape, especially his junior year, is fantastic. His completion rating for like wide receivers with separation is insane compared to like half the league. And plus, he's played on Utah State. He lost his entire starting lineup, and he was still making unbelievable throws. He was the only guy on that team his senior year.
He did try to do so
Yes.
much. I think that's why
Exactly.
he suffered his senior
Jordan
year.
Love was the only guy lining up on offense.
With quarterback, I look at
No
can
on
you
the line.
make the throws, and if you can make any of the throws, like that's why I personally don't like, and not to go to another, I don't like. I just drew a blank. The quarterback that Bruce drafted. I can't even.
Justin Herbert.
I hate Justin Herbert. He's a bullet thrower. I don't like bullet throwers, and that's I think.
Oh, like Baker Mayfield.
Yes, he's gonna be out of the league in 3 years. You heard that here first. I bet DJ
Jot that one down.
Just to piss him off. It's like, that's ridiculous. That'll never happen. But yeah, I look at a guy like arm talent because you got a guy like Justin Herbert and then you have a guy like Jordan Love. It's like I very rarely see a guy like Justin Herbert put any touch on the ball when Jordan Love can make any throw on the field. So that's what I look at. So
A guy named Love caresses the ball gently. What a surprise.
nailed it.
I kind of agree with that assessment. I think that there's more to it than just being able to make the throws. He has a certain level of
Yeah, otherwise
Field vision
Jamarcus
and knowledge.
Russell is your,
is your QB1 forever.
It's not the same thing.
But it's the right idea that they drafted him for the things that you can't teach, and they put him on the bench so that he can be taught things you can.
Right. I agree. Wait, no,
So
I disagree.
Listen, I think overall, like the quarterback room for you is considering. It's a ton of luck with Brady still around and Tannehill being a starter.
Andrew Luck is on my team, Mike.
Oh, excuse me, sorry. But listen, you could clearly do, as we discussed with some other teams that we've already covered, Anthony, that you could do way worse with quarterbacks than Jones, Tannehill, and Brady. So
It's an above-average quarterback group.
Like for this season, quarterback's not going to be the reason if you're down in the standings at all.
Yeah, Deej will be the reason.
I know it.
Unironically.
Who is better at high school sports?
Oh, boy. I don't know, man. I'm not drunk. I'm not drunk enough to have that conversation. All right.
All right,
Running
let's go
backs.
to running backs. Running backs are kind of a thing.
They're a
It's
football
a
player.
little
They
it's a little rough.
ball and they run.
So, all right. So your running backs are Rex Burkhead, Nick Chubb, Gus Edwards, Melvin Gordon, LaShawn McCoy, Jerick McKinnon, Oklahoma great Samaje Perine, and Jonathan
Keep your eye.
Taylor.
Yeah,
Yes,
when
yeah.
we did that in redraft a couple years ago in the old redraft league. I drafted P. Ryan very late. I said Perine, and DJ looked me straight in the eye and he said, "It's P. Ryan."
You also said you were drafting Todd Bradley, and then no one understood who you actually drafted.
That was the
except me.
same night, yeah.
So, all right. So, pretty much, Pat. I mean, to me, like I know you guys think differently with Melvin Gordon. I just think with such a crowded backfield in Denver that fantasy-wise, it's Gordon suffers. Like I know you guys think different. I know Lucho and Alex thought differently than me about it, but I just see the fantasy relevance just plummeting for Gordon, which is a shame. He's a first round pick in startup, and now you're looking at potentially a 3 running back committee. Like I don't know if Denver's going to like cut Royce Freeman or something like that, like or someone
Even
else.
if they don't, he's on a rookie contract. They don't have to deploy him.
Exactly. But it's just I think you have Nick Chubb and Jonathan Taylor at some point could take over the whole workload from Marlon Mack. But outside of that, for me, it's a rough group. There's just not a lot of depth there for me.
I kind of like it. I'm not like it's not the greatest, but I kind of.
I don't think it's rough. I would.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
Nick Chubb, Jonathan Taylor, and I'm a fan of Melvin Gordon. I think Melvin Gordon will still be good. We've talked about this. Like, I just see him as the 1A, and then Lindsey as the 1B, and then Royce Freeman's irrelevant.
How long did he sign for?
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah,
so even if he like doesn't produce like this year, they could potentially trade him, or he could finish out that contract and be like a journeyman running back. He's got the talent to be able to do that, so he's still an asset on your team, even if he's moving teams. He's a running back. He doesn't need to know shit to play.
I think the thing that worries me the most is obviously I think Melvin Gordon does still get the bulk of the carries there, or at least splits it with Philip Lindsay. The thing is Nick Chubb got a ton of work under Freddie Kitchens. I don't know if he will get that same because that offense ran through Nick Chubb, and now that he's Freddie Kitchens.
Fortunately, you got one of the best coaches to allow a running back for the offensive run through him.
You got Stefanski. It's gonna probably be fine. Well, I'm worried about the fact that he was a 3-down back, and then Kareem Hunt came back from suspension, and then he was an afterthought on 3rd downs.
Yeah.
Sometimes even earlier.
True.
Like for me, Chubb is like this is one where Chubb is too talented.
Don't make me bring out the Nick Chubb jersey again.
Oh no!
Don't do it.
It's not a question of talent.
But you also have to look at it in like modern day NFL standards. Like the days of like the Earl Campbells and stuff are not there. Like any team outside of like 4 or 5 teams. Is good. Like that's why I went with Jonathan Taylor because even if his first year or first couple of games he splits the bulk with Marlon Mack. I mean, there's no team that's built better than the Colts to just pound the ball other than like the Cowboys.
Yeah, you're still taking a shot on an old style guy.
Yeah, exactly.
On that opportunity and that volume that he could still potentially get.
I mean, especially running behind somebody like Quentin Nelson. My God,
I'm also
he's a monster.
To mention another running back, I'm also I like Jerick McKinnon on this team. I think Jerick McKinnon could surprise some people finally.
If he can stay healthy,
I know two straight years of just
2 years.
It's tough to come back from that and be super productive fantasy wise.
Yep.
But you said the same thing about Darius Geis.
Exactly.
I mean, Darius Geis is
right.
I understand
and
that. But Jerick McKinnon got brought in there on a big contract, if I'm not mistaken. It wasn't.
He restructured finally for this year, but it was a big contract.
Unlike Geis, which was a different situation on Dog's team, Jerick McKinnon doesn't have to be a huge producer for this team.
Yeah,
he just needs to show up.
Yep.
He needs to be like a Raheem Mostert.
Exactly. If you're paying somebody like Jerick McKinnon, like Raheem Mostert is a plug and play kind of guy. And I'm not. There's a lot of talent. Like running backs are what you do at the second level. Like that's where you separate elite from just normal. And Raheem Mostert is just a guy to me. Like he's just a guy to me. And I think Jerick McKinnon is way better out of the backfield. I think he's a decent runner. He's at least comparable to Raheem Mostert, but. I don't know. It's all about money. I mean, they're going to continue to, especially if they've been paying.
It's also Kyle Shanahan. He doesn't give a shit. Like whoever the hot hand could be, someone we don't even know.
Breeda's gone, right?
Kyle Shanahan shows up.
Breeda's gone. So
Kyle Shanahan shows up, and McKinnon was the guy he brought in, and everyone was thinking, you know what? What they're going to do with McKinnon is he's the new Devonta Freeman for that offense, and then they think, oh, who's going to be the Tevin Coleman? And then the following year, guess what? It
And then
is
Tevin
Tevin
Coleman.
Coleman. So
Love
and
Tevin
but now
Coleman.
he has Raheem Mostert too. So it's just that it's at the point where
Yeah.
I just maybe Tevin Coleman in my eyes is the guy that actually loses some work there, and if McKinnon shows up and plays well,
Like I said, modern day NFL, man, it's a crapshoot. There could be
yeah, it's tough.
anybody.
I still like Jerick McKinnon. I think he's a good lottery ticket there.
Yeah, I think ultimately for me, like I agree with you where I think the upside is there for the potential to be like full. If McKinnon comes on, yeah, definitely 4 legit fantasy guys. But I just think the downside could be if Gordon doesn't get the work, or if McKinnon doesn't get the work. I think and even if Chubb splits way more than you want with Kareem Hunt. I think it's one of those. It's either super up or super down. I just think that's where I say rough, because it could be like a rough situation where you're looking at 4 starters or 4 spot start guys based on you just don't know. That's where I say rough, because I just like potential's there. I think it's both ends. I don't think you can guarantee the upside or the downside.
Dog, what just happened?
Something just fell.
Kitty just attacked him.
But
No,
listen,
I think Melvin Gordon's going to be fine. But after those big 3, I'm not sure about McKinnon as much as you guys
Yeah,
are.
I mean, like I said, it's a lot of ticketing now.
I'm not sure.
and then you figure just looking at some of the guys like Gus Edwards is irrelevant now. Like he's probably not on that.
The team.
He's probably not on that team.
No.
Rex Burkhead, I just don't like Patriots running backs. Period. I haven't until Bill Belichick leaves. I won't. I just
No,
think
but if you were gonna have a guy, he's the one that they use in the short yardage situations. Like, not saying that he's going to be a starter,
If
but
he can stay healthy as well.
Yeah,
that's true.
Also,
he's a real
and
lunch pail kind of guy.
And I just think with James White and Sony Michel, like Burkhead will get a few carries, but as far as fantasy
I
relevance,
see Damian Harris.
That's true.
This year too.
yeah,
That was the whole
I
thing.
think,
Damian Harris. I didn't even
Burkhead-
think about that. This whole thing. Damian Harris came in and he basically does what Rex Burkhead does. He just
Yeah,
that's why he's the guy that's inactive.
Mhm.
It's
That was a good point, dog.
but right again, like you're not, like I said, you're not looking at Burkhead to start, but he's on your roster.
Yeah, well,
he's
Samaje Perine, when you look at him on Cincinnati, they have the trio of Oklahoma Sooners on that team between Joe Mixon, him, and Rodney Anderson. So putting all 3 of them together, I mean,
You can
they'll
Voltron
all-
them into one running back.
Yes.
The Oklahoma man.
Adrian Peterson. They should become
Adrian Peterson with hands. That's what it becomes.
Yeah.
I actually
how's it feel to still have Oklahoma players on your roster? Wow.
Yeah.
Listen, at least I don't have any. I don't know.
At least you don't have any
at least it's-
Buckeyes.
at
You're
least
right.
I was gonna
It's
say,
Mixon.
apparently I draft nothing but Buckeyes, but I can't seem to find one on this
You
roster.
can take it. At least you're not a stereotype.
Yeah, Sterling Shepard, Dennis. Come on.
He's not a Buckeye.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Another
dog, he's a
Oklahoma guy.
giant.
Sorry.
Yeah, another Oklahoma guy.
You fool.
That's me.
He's actually a Sooner. Go figure.
With
Yeah, he
that, I think we should move on to
onto-
those wide receivers.
Onto those, I love this wide
Thanks,
receiver
host
group.
Lucho.
Yeah, man. I was about to move on, but you beat me to it.
It's a power struggle between.
All right, so the wide receiver
Dennis, how do you
group.
feel being the new host?
Me? Honestly, I'm a guy with a mustache. I mean, people listen to people with mustaches, so it's like, wow, that guy's wise.
That was so wise, Dennis.
Thank you. All good, all great men have mustaches. That's just a fact. I think Rod Kimball said that. Sorry.
All right.
Move on.
All right.
Yes,
Onto
all
your-
great men have mustaches.
I like what you're doing there.
Onto your wide receiver group. So Danny Amendola, Jamison Crowder, Marquise Goodwin, Tyreek Hill, T.Y. Hilton, Justin Jefferson, Desmond Patman, Donovan Peoples-Jones, who is in fact just one guy, not 2.
What?
He's not
God.
peoples. He's
Thank-
person.
now I know you guys read YouTube comments. That's
Sterling Shepard, also from Oklahoma. Darius Slayton, Willie Snead, Demarius Thomas, and Dede Westbrook.
Good wideout room. I like it.
Yeah, man. I mean, look. Tyreek Hill
You
is
improved it.
far and away.
That's all I can say. You improved it.
It was,
Yeah.
Listen, man, it's literally throwing shit against the wall, and anything was better than what
Yeah, that's
that
a good
Nimrod
point.
put together.
Good wideout room if in a good range of outcomes.
And I'll say this about Tyreek Hill. I think when we were doing our startup last year, the threat of suspension was for sure there.
I was gonna take him.
Good guy.
Me and Dog
And
had
now-
that trade already agreed upon. I was just waiting for somebody to
Yeah.
fall.
Because I feel like that threat was there, and it was one of those situations where you're like, all right, if he gets in this legal trouble, is he going to be out of football?
Yeah.
From it, and I like that threat was up in the air when we were startup, because I feel like Tyreek Hill, like if we did our startup today, like where is he getting
Second
drafted
rounder.
versus
Yeah,
versus where did he get drafted in our startup with that looming
Yes.
threat?
And then going back to my startup, if I made that trade with Dog and Tyreek Hill fell to me instead of stupid Deej taking him, I wouldn't have drafted Antonio Brown and Cam Newton.
Hey, man, even a broken
But
clock is right twice
look
a
what
day.
Antonio Brown got you though.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, yeah, sure. Thanks, Kyle.
Yeah, man. I like the wide receiver. There's not like you said, not. I mean, I guess Tyreek Hill's the number one. I mean, and T.Y. Hilton is obviously an aging ass, but man,
He's still good
I,
now.
He's still
fucking
your wide receiver
love
too.
Justin Jefferson. I love Justin Jefferson, man. His football IQ is some of the I think I've seen in a long time. Obviously he hit
future Justin Jefferson.
That's kind of what I think. I like future Justin Jefferson.
That's what I mean by good range of outcomes.
Yeah. He just, I think, especially working out of the slot, I know he's not going to be the Stephon Diggs replacement, but I mean, how long is Adam Thielen really going to be effective or around for at this point? Because I feel like he obviously had a down year last year. But, I mean, I don't know. Donovan Peoples-Jones, too, is somebody I really like, because he's two people, not just one. He and I guess you guys were talking about it last podcast, and I couldn't call in because I watched it a day after. That doesn't work. But he constantly worked against top corners from like Ohio State, guys like first round picks like Arnett, Roby, Malik Hooker, guys like that, and he won matchups and Okuda against.
Was Lattimore still there when he was going against him?
Yeah, that was 2 years ago, and he won matchups in big games and with shitty quarterbacks like Shea Patterson or Spieth, like throwing him prayers that he came down with.
Shea Patterson's on the Super Bowl winning team of the NFL now. I don't know.
Yeah, he's on just like I'm on this.
Just like how
podcast
Pat
right now.
Shurmur's son was on that team too.
Right. So they're doing him a favor, but yeah, I like him and the other rookie, Desmond Patman. I literally know nothing about that guy. He had the highest ADP that was left, and I took him. And I don't know. He just did. I looked his highlight. He's a big body. I mean, I don't think he'll make the team, but I don't think he'll play. I mean, who knows? But I don't know. I thought I really, 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 really like Justin Jefferson. The way he if you watch a lot of film with him, he breaks off routes constantly.
He was always open.
Yeah, and then, that's him. He was a big reason I think Joe Burrow had as good of a year as he did. I mean, Joe Burrow is obviously one of the more accurate quarterbacks we've ever seen, but having a guy as smart as Justin Jefferson to recognize coverage and pre-read it, especially at a place like LSU and against great defenses every day, every week is awesome. So, what do you guys think about Darius Slayton, though? I'm very curious
I like him a lot.
think what you guys think about him.
Why do you like him?
He looked good last year. Granted, there was a lot of injuries on that team, but I mean, he has the trust of a young quarterback, and he's a young wide receiver. So,
yeah, I think at this point he's wide receiver. I mean, I know Golden Tate's there, but he's right there in this far as he's right there as wide receiver 2 for me on the Giants. So I think it's a good spot to be fantasy wise. I mean, you obviously have Sterling Shepard too. So you have both of those Giants guys. But listen, Darius Slayton was a fantasy starter late in the year. He was in consideration for a playoff or championship week starter.
Yep.
So the potential's clearly there.
Darius Slayton goes as Daniel Jones goes, I think it is fair to say. I know that's not entirely true with all like quarterback wide receiver matchups, but when Daniel Jones is at his best, Darius Slayton is also at his best, and I think that says a lot because as much as I like Golden Tate, I don't really like Sterling Shepard. I think his time is kind of coming to an end with the Giants.
He was never
But
really
Sterling
a
Shepard's on
long-term
your team.
answer.
Right.
What?
I agree. What'd you say?
Sorry, I said, but Sterling Shepard's on your team. What do you mean you don't like him?
I didn't draft him. I wouldn't have drafted him if it was my draft.
I don't
Listen.
think Shepard was ever a long-term answer at anything more than like a 2 or 3
Decent.
complimentary guy.
Decent slot guy.
Yeah.
It's about as far as
Right, you figured you drafted him to be on that team with Beckham, but now obviously things have changed.
Right.
But he clearly didn't step up to be wide receiver 1. But yeah, but like I said, that being said, like again, but also like you have to look at this roster. If you're looking at Darius Slayton as a possible fantasy starter, but on this roster, you could potentially say he's wide receiver 5. That's a great spot.
Yeah.
So listen, the wide receiver, it's probably, I mean, it's your deepest position, I would say. And like it's Tyreek Hill and T.Y. Hilton as your 1-2. Way worse wide receiver rooms in this league, as we've covered already.
I mean, plus a guy like Jamison Crowder and like D.D. Westbrook could also have decent years depending on how.
I'm out on Didi now. I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm
think
not a
there's too many guys
huge
in
fan,
Jackson.
but if Minshew takes another step, I mean, you never know.
I think DJ
No.
Chark is his guy. So I think everyone else kind of
Not with Chenault. I love Chenault.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't love
Chenault
the
has
fact
to
that
be on the field in order to play.
that's what I was gonna say. I don't love that part, but if he is on the field, I love
Aw.
Chenault.
Glass bones
And-
Greg over there.
And again, like,
Bones,
and
paper
like,
skin.
I like Jamison Crowder with the Jets because again, like the wide receiver group on the Jets is just so thin. Somebody has to get targets, so like Crowder's a great option as well, especially at wide receiver 3.
Even
If
Bill
that's where you're gonna
Snead.
play him.
Even Bill Snead.
I don't like. I mean,
Devin Duvernay's backup.
Yeah, they don't like the Bill Snead.
Bill Snead.
He's got sick dreads though.
but it's a good wide receiver, group class, whatever you want to call it. And
Were you just gonna
like I
call
said,
them a
we've covered-
clan?
A gaggle of wide receivers.
I said class, but that didn't make any sense.
Class of
2020.
And
Yeah.
that's it. We'll finish up there. No need to talk about the tight ends on this team either.
No, we're talking
Hey,
about the tight end.
No, hey, wait a minute. He's got somebody at least.
Formerly known as Blake Bell.
Not there anymore.
Thank God.
All right, so your wide receivers. I mean, it seems like your wide receiver 1, Jared Cook. It's the obvious one.
Wide receiver
Uh,
one.
Yikes.
Sorry,
Tight end.
tight end 1. Excuse me.
Jared Cook's my wide receiver 1.
I mean, why not?
Are you the
All right, you're
Raiders from 2018?
I mean, this makes sense. This episode's going a little late. Lucha, what are we even at right now? Do you even have a
It's up
timer?
there.
It's almost.
It's
That's pretty-
definitely up there.
143.
Oof.
Ooh, all right. Well, all right. Whatever, man. Everyone.
We're having a
seems
good
to love it.
time. It's natural. Dogs said like
Yeah.
7 things.
Yeah, especially Lucha has to edit out about 45 minutes of this episode. So
Yeah, the part where he just left.
I had
and the
just
part where
didn't-
Dog got called by Nick to play Fortnite.
Oh no, that wasn't even that. It just stopped working.
Oh. All right.
All right. So your tight ends. So outside of Jared Cook, it gets a little rough.
No, I don't think so. Keep going.
you're on the Herndon train, huh?
Yes, I love Chris Herndon.
All right.
God,
so you have
I'm still on the Herndon train. Oh, sorry, Mike. Go ahead. We'll talk about it.
Sorry. All right. The Green Bay rookie, the backup to Jay Sternberger.
Yeah,
What the
back
fuck
up.
is his name? Josiah DeGara.
You mean the
Fucking say it.
H-back?
DeGuara.
Yeah.
Ross Dwelly.
The
George
new
Kittle's
Rhett
backup.
Ellison. Sorry, not
yeah,
Dwelly.
Chris Herndon, and then Jason Witten,
And then
Just
literally
has all
a
my team
broadcaster.
pretty much. Yeah, Raiders legend Jason Witten.
Yeah.
Las Vegas native.
Well, Dennis has a Hall of Fame tight end on his team, so
It's a fact.
Yeah.
the third string.
Who's
tight
on
end.
the Chris Herndon train? Because I know Dog is.
I just
Yeah,
think
not
Ryan
very
Griffin
much
is better.
Chris Herndon train.
I'm
You
getting-
think Ryan
I'm get-
Griffin
I'm
is
getting
better
off
than
at the
That's
next
not even
stop.
close.
I just
No.
think Chris Herndon.
Oh my
I don't-
God, Mike, get out of here!
Ryan Griffin
okay.
is like the definition of just like your standard tight end. Like go run a seam route and get open. And Sam Darnold just fucking loves tight ends. Look what he did with Griffin. And Herndon is the better player. Whether or not he can stay on the field, totally different.
But like that's my problem. I think he's just a decent rookie year, and then just the injuries last year. Was he suspended too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mike,
So
I'd
it's
like
like-
to I'd like to correct a statement you also made. Jason Witten is noted on the Raiders depth chart as a starting tight end.
That's bullshit. But okay.
No, it's not. They have a 2 tight end set.
Yeah,
Idiot.
Foster Moreau,
Well, Moreau's a backup.
probably the best name in football right now.
They also have Nick O'Leary, who's a fantastic blocking tight end. So.
I like just.
Wait, we went to high school
Man.
with
I know a
Nick
lot of people are saying H-back with him, but I'll take anybody on my roster that broke Travis Kelce's records in college.
hmm
Who?
Completely. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about.
I
think he's better. I think
Jason
he's better
Kelce?
than Sternberg already, but that's just me. Because when I look at tight ends, I look at intangibles, man, and like specifically intangibles. I was telling Lucho this, I think, a couple of days ago. And Josiah DeGuara, man, plus he's in a great system for it too. Even if they use him
Yep.
as like the H back, as like a gadget guy, I mean,
Yeah, Red Ellison. That's what I was thinking.
yeah, he's gonna get more targets than half the tight ends in this league.
I guess, but if you're comparing it for fantasy relevance, if your comparison's Rhett Ellison, that's not fantasy relevant to me. Like I just that, it's
Well,
not a guy.
that's my comparison. That's why he's not on my team.
That's what I mean. Like I'm saying, if someone's comparison's Rhett Ellison, then I feel like that.
It's
for
a,
me,
but it's a
fantasy
shot.
wise,
It's a
well,
shot
you
in the
heard
dark.
Dennis's comparison.
exactly.
with
It's a shot
Travis
in the dark.
Kelce.
It doesn't matter.
I didn't say it was my
Compton,
comparison. I said
Travis
said he broke the records. I mean,
Oh, sorry. Dennis copped him to Tony Gonzalez. And
the only person who has more touch, like who had at Cincinnati, I think, the only person who had like more catches than him in the tight end spot was like Brent Selleck, who was also a very good tight end for many years. Not saying that Cincinnati's like this juggernaut for tight ends, but I mean, if you break Travis Kelce's records, like, okay, not a bad look. You know, I don't know.
And I mean,
Plus, he can
Cincinnati's
run.
not a bad
Can run.
system to come out of.
No, not at all. I mean, the only one I think for tight ends is better is probably Iowa, maybe. I mean, judging by that.
lately, yeah.
I mean, yeah,
So-
lately, obviously, but like still, I mean, like anybody says, like for me, tight ends, like anybody who can run now, because tight ends either have to be big bodies, guys like Noah Fant, or like these tweeners, guys like Evan Ingram or Travis Kelce, and I think Josiah DeGuara fits nicely into the tweener category. It's just me.
It's true. So, but I think in terms of week one relevance, obviously you're starting tight end. Week one is Jared Cook, and then you just hope for the best going forward.
No, it's Josiah DeGuara, even if he's not
Oh,
playing.
shit.
I'm doubling down on.
No shit. Hey man.
Yeah.
Well, since Jason Witten is the starter in Las Vegas, might have to go with him.
Do it.
No, I'm just kidding.
What a
You're
Did I
right.
say Oakland earlier? I might have said Oakland.
Wow,
I mean,
can't believe
no,
would
if you did, no one
you not
would
know
have
the team
noticed.
moved?
Idiot, it's the LA Chargers. Even their fans don't know. That's for the fan to decide.
But all right, so I mean, look, I mean the tight ends. We can only talk about these dart throw tight ends so much. Where do we think
Right.
Dennis finishes this season?
I think Dennis has a 37% chance of making the playoffs.
Beats still my heart.
I think Dennis.
How did you calculate that?
I think you're
That's the
one of.
question.
I think you're one of those teams that will finish either just missing the playoffs or just making the playoffs. I like you right there, right on the fringe. Like, no offense again, dog, but I like Dennis. I like your team a little better than dogs. And I think you improved it enough that you win a couple good games at the end and you'll make a good push.
Yeah, I think for me, it's going to come down to that running back potential. Like I think, we talked about the tight ends. I think Jared Cook as your starting tight end going into the season.
Can always make a
knowing
trade. There's always tight ends available, like Greg Olsen.
Exactly.
I'm not trading for Greg Olsen.
All right, fine. Like I said, Evan Ingram.
I
Right,
like
but-
Greg Olsen more than I like.
But
Evan
like,
Ingram.
right, assuming.
All right, like I
assuming-
said, Tyler Higbee.
Assuming no moves are made, I think that running back question mark. I think if it swings toward the upside, I think that puts you in the playoffs. I think that's ultimately the question. That's like the big question for me. If the running backs drop off and fail, I think it's a non-playoff team. But if they come up and step up, and you have 2 or 3 viable starters at running back, I think that puts you over the top. But again, you fucking never know, dude. It's fantasy.
I think it just depends on what Melvin Gordon does. If Melvin Gordon's big, I think it's,
that's what I mean. Like I think even if I question the snap count in Cleveland, I think Chubb is still running back, far and away running back 1 on your roster. And then like if the rest of your guys pan out and you have three potential starters to throw in. Throw a flex spot for your running back, I think you're pretty solid if you can sustain it all the way through. Your playoff team. The potential's there, but the opposite. Like I said, I think the running backs dropping off, and maybe you end up with just like a fraction of Nick Chubb as your best bet, which is you fucking never know.
Right.
But it's the big question for me. I think the wide receivers are solid enough, quarterbacks are solid enough. Jared Cook's fine as your tight end. I think if he gets hurt though, it's a problem. But the potential's there to be a play. Yeah, I agree with Alex. 6-7 seed for me.
Dennis, you asked me this. You texted me asking me to give you the ranking on Fantasy Pros, which I guess I mentioned on a show. I don't even remember, and I finally remember now to give you those rankings. So, according to the Fantasy Pros rankings of them categorizing our teams and giving them a score of who's the best, who's the worst team for 2020. Dennis, you are number 5.
Oh, nice.
And then for Dynasty, you are number 7.
Really interesting. I guess having like Brady and Hilton and
that hurts.
It makes sense. But like I said, I don't know some people. By the way, didn't mention I did drop a Buckeye. I did drop Nick Vannett, the stud. So
and Joey,
he's out there. Joey. Want to get him, man. I know you're a big Buckeye hoarder. So.
Joey, I'll give you these numbers too. Fantasy Pro says you are number 6 for 2020, and you are number 4 for Dynasty.
Nice. Does that factor in draft picks too? I'm guessing.
It does not factor in future draft picks.
Okay.
It's weighing his rookies heavier, probably.
Yeah.
How many first rounders do you have next year?
5,000.
Only 4?
I think he has
only 2.
No, I think he has 2 next year and then 3 the following year, right?
Yeah.
I have 2 next year as well. Was next first round pick next year as well.
By
the way, he asked me if I wanted Luchos, and I said I would take his because I thought Luchos would be a better team. So there you go, Luch.
I agree.
We're friends,
dude. The 2 first round picks. The 2 first round picks were nice this year. So anytime you can acquire it.
I mean, I ended up with the first pick of the second, and it felt like a first round pick to me.
Right. Yeah. It varies year by year. But listen, man, this shit's fun, man. If I hope the rest of our league actually listens to this shit.
No, we have everyone that listens to it on.
No, the people who are going to listen to it right now.
This is true.
Hey, Nick,
everybody click subscribe.
No shot Nick listens to this.
No. You got Phil, you got Alex Hochberg. Those are the last 2. Maybe Scott.
You could probably get him on the show, though.
That's true.
I'll force Emily to listen to it.
Tim listens to it.
Yes.
He texted me. He was like, "I'm listening right now. Thanks for the shout out." I was like,
Luch,
"Yes."
Luch, you have to also get this in podcast format for Saturday.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, if you have the
I'll be sure to put this YouTube into a fucking podcast or RSS feed.
Hey, thanks for having us on the Rangers 5th line. Really appreciate it.
It's a great time. I'd love to have you guys on another time too.
Dude, I'd always come on Deke. I'd always come on Deke Central if you'll have me. All right. My before we started, I was like, I am working every one of the failed podcasts.
Yes, please.
into the thing, and I really forced it at the end there.
All right. Well,
shout out John Valenti, who isn't listening because he doesn't know about it because we haven't posted this anywhere except our league page and the group me. Or if you're subscribed to Lucho's channel, you see it pop up on your YouTube feed. But besides that, no one else.
2 friends of mine from college were like, "What the fuck are you uploading?"
Hey man, just tell them to click and like.
Remember to like and subscribe.
Yeah, we didn't do the typical
click
YouTube
that bell button.
What's up, everybody? This is a football podcast.
Hey, I'm just happy to have a former member of Rave Clan on the show.
Oh man, you guys could use the music. If you'd like.
That's it. We got permissions finally.
Oh boy,
That's legally binding.
You would have to bleep out every other word, and I would never want to hear it. But that's complete. I have one of the files actually. It's not that you'll ever hear it, but I do own one of the files. Oh boy,
That's hilarious.
that's really funny.
Listen,
Mike.
I hope everybody that listened enjoyed episode 3. It was off the fucking rails, but listen, I love it. What the fuck else are we doing lately?
It felt natural, man. It felt natural.
That's all we do. We definitely prepped less. I think we could tell from the beginning. I think all of you listening could tell we prepped less than the episodes 1 and 2. But whatever, man. We talk about our own league. That's the whole point of this. This podcast is meant for 12 people. If you're listening and you're not part
13.
of our league,
You
we appreciate
get
it.
out.
Now
Sorry,
14 with Emily, 15 with Tim.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot. Deej, former member.
Sorry, I said 15.
Emily's too damn polite to be like, no.
We're going back. Go back to 14 because you got to take Nick out of this.
Oh yeah, sorry, Nick. Yeah, Nick's never gonna listen. Even though Nick got shit on. What did Alex call him last week?
That's a
Yeah.
good question.
No, you definitely did because I died laughing when you said it. I like audibly laughed when you said it. I forgot what it was.
It's something
Anyway.
like a big poopy doo-doo head or something like that.
Yeah, that was it.
Oh, he called Nick Payne a little baby boy who sucks on rainbow lollipops.
Right.
Yes, that's what it was.
Can our sources confirm that that's actually true?
I'll call up Adam Schefter real quick.
Don't call up Chris Sims. You might break some terrible, incorrect contract information.
Oh no, Chris.
But listen, we want to thank everyone for listening to episode 3 of the official League of Kyle's Rivals podcast. We want to thank Dennis and Joey for being our great guests for
Thank
this
you, guys.
episode.
Hey, thanks for having us, man.
Thanks
Seriously,
for
it was
having us.
fun. I'm on
What do we
vacation
cover?
this week. I have literally fucking nothing to do. I really appreciate you guys reaching out to me.
On episode 4, we'll cover any waiver moves if there are any trade rumors, any fan mail. If you'd like to send it our way. We'll read it on the air for sure. And we're going to cover 2 more rosters. Who are we covering? Phil.
Are we getting Phil this week?
Phil and Alex.
Oh
Yeah,
my
that's
god.
right. So we're going to have Phil and former number 1 fan Alex Hochberg.
Alex
I-
comes home.
We'll be
I don't-
covering.
I don't see
Those
Phil
teams?
coming on the show. Maybe he will, but we might be able to get Alex on this show.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm cool, man.
Hey man,
You
Alex
hit him
is
up.
already he's the original other member of this Discord server.
That's
Yeah,
true.
that's true.
Ooh, that pushes hard for number 1 fan.
He's not, though.
All Phil has to do to be on the show is sit in the same room as you.
This is true.
He's not allowed in here.
But anyway, seriously, thanks for listening, guys. Just please do us a favor, hit like, subscribe if you want, but we appreciate the support from anyone that's not in our league listening. I say that like that because fuck whoever else in this league, you should listen. But anyone that's not a part of this, we appreciate you listening to a league-specific podcast where you probably have no idea what we're talking about. So we hope you enjoy listening.
There's probably some asshole out there that like this came up in their feed. They're like, "Who the fuck are these idiots?" And they're
I
just
hope so.
sitting in quarantine. He has no idea what else to do.
Exactly. But listen, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.